Mark in the count. The swing arm now coming back as our countdown continues.
Good afternoon, good evening, happy Sunday, happy Father's Day, happy happiness. I'm Brick Something, and over here we've got Blake, aka Recon Rage, fresh from the Pacific Northwest. What's going on, Blake?
Oh, I'm just here to talk some fun toys with my bro Brick. I mean, how can we not? Oh, geez, now it's a beautiful Father's Day out here in the Pacific Northwest. I'll tell you that. It's like 71, 72, crystal clear.
Coming from, you guys were doing like 90 or something. You were telling me that. I can't believe
last
that.
week,
I've never,
95.
I've never experienced Portland heat like that. So,
but we'll talk about that because you're going to get a chance next year.
Yes, so you've got
we'll
some
talk
news
about
that. We'll definitely get to that. Yes, you know what? It's been way too long. Gosh, it's been years now at this point. I think the kids, it must have been about 9 years ago or 8 years ago. It's been a while since I've been up to Portland. Anyway, we'll get there. So awesome. Hello, it's a West Coast show. Hope everybody's doing well. Hey, there it is, West Coast Mythic Meetup. Blake came down from Portland, which again feeds into the news that I'm assuming that you kind of shared a little bit earlier this week on Dorklair. But before we do that, let's go ahead and say hello to the folks and welcome the folks who are here. I see some fathers who are hiding from their kids, just like me. Just kidding. Josh Brown and Josh Brown Customs, what's going on? Good to see you, man. I hope you had a great time with the kiddos. Yes, Ray Paz, hello to you, sir. Hope you're doing well, man. Mr. Ryan Clark, I feel like I'm running into this guy on all the chats these days, especially now that like I'm kind of on break. I have definitely been able to catch up on a lot more lives than I have been these last couple weeks. Rob Zamora is here, but he's having difficulty getting out words. But hey, Rob, what's going on, man? Good to see you. We've got No Chewing. Hello, Chewy. Good to see you, sir. Sath, the amateur hour. Sath at amateur hour. Sorry. It's amateur hour over here. Hello. Larry's Geeky World is here. Allison Troy, what's up? Greetings. Who actually lived near you for a while, and I was going to try and visit her. That would have been the more recent time to go up there, but never got around to it. I think she moved a little further away from the city, but is still up in Oregon. Kenmas. Hapa Kenergy, what's going on, man? Greetings. Hope everything's good for you and the folks down south. Hello, hello. Santos Rivera, what's going on, Santos? Super nice guy. I got to meet him very briefly. You and I got to meet super briefly there, and then I kind of like put two and two together a little bit more as you know, our interactions online. Blake, let's see. Heinrich is here. Good evening to Brick and Blake. Hello, Heinrich. Oh, see, I prefer it over there, man. Meanwhile, on the East Coast, it's in the mid to high 60s. Yeah, man, I'm loving that. That's me. Looks like my little thermometer died, but it's nice out here. I'm enjoying it, man. Rick Jones, he's near here, but on a warmer side of the bay. Joe Gonzalez is here. Hello to you, Joe. It's been a minute. Missed that guy. I haven't been on the Clubhouse lately. And yes, he wants to let everybody be known that Recon Rage is a superstar.
I'm just an everyday guy, but I'll tell you right now, that Joe Gonzalez, Joe G, he's the superstar.
Oh, 100%.
And on top of it, who else knows how to kick the tires and light the fires?
Yeah. And so he would say, if he were here, he'd say, no, that's not me. It's my mustache. That's the superstar. But yes, Frankie Rivera is here. And oh, we got Stanley. Stanley, what's going on, man? I hope you're enjoying the end of the school year. Oh, one more. Albert Lou is here. Hey, what's going on, man? Just finished walking the North Beach Festival, now sitting back for your show. North Beach as in San Francisco, I'm assuming. Must have been pretty out there today. See? Heinrich knows what's up. Okay. Hello to you all. And hey, literally, sorry. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us today live. Appreciate you, as always. If you're catching this on the replay, I've been bad about saying this, but thank you for hitting the like button, doing all that. Now that it's summer, I can hopefully actually post again. And kind of the channel's been relatively dormant in terms of growth, which is, you know what, at the end of the day, fine. It's fresh in my mind because on Thursday, I got to hang out with Kevin from Toying Around. And the whole channel came up again, got the brain spinning about what I need to do this summer. Anywho, let's go ahead and talk about toys. And let's actually, Blake, as I said in the sort of like description and some of the outreach stuff, I feel like when I look through your Instagram page, which I just accidentally removed. When I look through your Instagram page, I see that you and I actually have a lot of toys in common. And there are some things that we'll get to, like these beautiful things, that I don't have firsthand experience with. So I definitely want you to break down some Blokees for me today and some joytoy, period. I don't have any joytoy, period, but let alone the Warhammer stuff that I just sort of enjoy from afar.
Absolutely.
But got a lot of overlap when it comes to the Legion stuff, when it comes to Masterverse. God, I'm so jealous of you though, because I don't have that Ninja. This stuff, the Memory Toys stuff, that was Memory before Medi. Right behind him, you've got that Liu Kang, right? Storm Collectibles, which I have as well. So like, I just look at your stuff and I share all that because I am definitely a toy collector that enjoys variety. I'm a toy collector that also has roots in sort of the nostalgic late 70s and 80s. And what I've gotten to know about you is that both of those, I think all of those things are true of you. Isn't that right? Like you check out all sorts of stuff, and you've got the stuff that you love from childhood.
Yeah. So started collecting when I was, 19. Oh gosh, long time ago. Let's just put it that way. And had that brief hiatus when I was in the military and law enforcement, that whole deal. You ever want to catch that story, that's on New to Mythics, and also Saturday Morning Toy Collector. We talked about that in extensive. And then when I came back to it, what really drew me back was a multiple things. But, I've always been a big Spawn fan, right? So Spawn, that character, Al Williams, he's a Marine. And he basically went down to hell to do a deal to get his wife, taken care of. And then he sold his soul to Malvosia, and he's been trying to now realize he can't escape. So now he's going to try to, take the seat away from Satan. So evil type story. But if you really think of it, he's kind of an anti-hero, very much like Deadpool is. And 100%. So that brought me back into it, amongst the other things that came rushing back, and I haven't stopped since. So yeah, I really have a joy for action figures and really cool creative things in general. It doesn't have to be action figures. Like the last post I have on my page, I think, is Spawn, the cover of one of the Scorched comics that I picked up today earlier. The artistic capability of human beings out there blows my mind. Like there are there's a lot of uber talented human beings, but in the art world, it just, from what I saw in the early 70s, 80s, and 90s, when I was first starting out on this beautiful planet, and where it's at now, has just been mind-boggling for me. And an absolute pleasure. I mean, the amount of artists that I talk to, that I support, that are friends of mine, the social media influencers and people that are involved, like you, Brick, and the list goes on and on. I've been on a multitude of shows, and really my goal here is to spread the joy of toy collecting and artistic capabilities and artists. That's really why I created my Instagram, solely dedicated to all of this. Because if you look at my Instagram, there's nothing personal on there. in the aspect of like, you know, wife, kids, this, that, you know,
Sure.
job, right? I wanted to keep this stream, this Instagram, specific to art and the praising and shout outs to the people that create it.
And if folks are listening to what Blake just said and you're thinking, oh yeah, now I know what he's saying, that's kind of what Brick does. And like, that's what the show's about. And that's what, like, you know, in my IG is all about, just like, man, look at all this great stuff. And I often, and I know it gets repetitive, but I'm just like, wow, what a time, right? Where it's like, to your point, like pop culture just exploded. And over the years, pop culture has become like real central to the culture, at least here in the United States, right? And when you think about toys, especially now, so much of it is rooted in the stuff you and I grew up in, and sort of like honoring that legacy stuff, and then almost like, again, this is not to diss the old stuff, but almost elevating it, right? Again, yeah, you get the idea. And so we have that. And then, of course, we're getting all these people who grew up like you and I into this stuff, influenced by this stuff, inspired by it, that are now making more art, more toys. So I'm with you. And I just tend to move through it with sort of like a lens of admiration and appreciation. And I just think it's that much more fun that way. So yeah, for sure. And let me just, God, can I just say, I probably shouldn't bring attention to it, but this is a new thing, isn't it? Like, this is a new Instagram thing, because now everybody can see like the weird messages thing. Anyway, now I drew attention to it, and there's little like Machu. Let's see who else is here. Anyway, that said, in addition to sort of just admiring this stuff, you're kind of like since we're talking about art, you are a, what's the word? Like a patron of the arts, not just sort of, you know, of course you're buying the stuff off the shelf, but you're going to these artists who literally sculpt new pieces for our figures, paint new figures, create custom figures. So I kind of wanted to start there before anything else. And so you've got some stuff in here, some beautiful pieces in your collection that you've picked up, whether they're commissioned heads, or I'm assuming in some of these cases are full figures, right?
That's correct.
So
yeah, I have a lot. So what I would like to do is, well, first off, here is that piece
look
right
at this
there.
thing. Hold on, there it is.
So this was a simple pop and swap. Everything I kind of mixed and matched some stuff from Mythic Legions, of course, and Cosmic, and then that head sculpt. Oh my gosh,
I love that head sculpt.
That was painted by Scout Soria. So,
yeah, Alejandro. Yeah,
Alejandro, Brian Ramos, Brian Von Berg. I know I don't want to miss anybody's name. Blaze Bear. I mean, the list goes on of people that I've support. I literally support them because that's what's important.
And as we go through it, don't worry, I've got your IG, so you're real good about like documenting who's who and sending people that way. So again, man after my own heart. But so I know sometimes you on pressure, you're like, oh, I forgot somebody. But as we go through them, we'll definitely shout out those folks. So as you said, did Alejandro, he actually sculpted that as well and painted it, yeah?
No, right? He bought that from, I think it was either Maui or gosh, I can't remember. This is one of those
ignore everything I just said.
There's a lot of Josh Brown stuff. There's a lot of Maui. There's a lot, and I have a lot. It's funny that Josh Brown wrote, Maui. I was right. Cool. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Josh. See, he knows what's up. Oh, got it. Like the Moai, the Easter. Anywho, so this thing is dope. Like, so you talked to him, and was he making these available? I think he was, right? He had like a couple different hood colors and stuff, or did you talk to him separately?
How it works for me, and I'm sure a lot of people in the chat and online, these artists will go and post, these sculptors and designers will send them to some of these notorious artists that are really good in painting, right? Deco. And then they'll get them painted up, and then they present those online, sometimes just to like showcase their artwork. Many times, a long time ago, I started reaching out to these various artists and saying, hey, that's really badass. And I'll put like a comment in there and give them a like, right, to help them in that aspect. But then turn around and say, hey, is it available? Is this piece available? I'd really like to make this piece part of my collection. I have a couple ideas for some pop and swaps using this head, or a custom that I really want to create from top to bottom or whatever. And I've never had one yet say, nope, sorry, unless it's been sold. It's been sold. But like Alejandra's really good about it. Brian Ramos, any of them, they're basically like, hey, I have an extra one I haven't painted yet, or I can get that in, or this is where you can get the head sculpt. If you know, this is how much it costs. If you want to buy that, then this is my services above and beyond it, right? So
very nice.
It's awesome, and I love supporting all of these wonderful human beings out there. It's just amazing. I mean, I bought stuff from Spain from you know who, and actually had him ship that stuff over. So,
well, here we go. Josh Brown saying yes. Specifically, Moaiwe is one of the best Patreons out there if you print. So check that out. Sign up for a lot of these folks. They'll put their stuff on Patreons, and you know, you can be printing, or you can have someone print them up, and so on. Real quick, there's some people who've dropped in so far. We've had Gades Toys. What's up, Andrew? Good to see you. We got this guy, 16 Shooter, saying Brick and Blake. Some alliteration there for you. Derek Hoover was here. Don't know if he's still here, but happy Father's Day to you, buddy. Hope you're doing great. We've got Machu Toy saying what's up to Ray Paz and hello here. And I think I've caught everybody so far, but yes. Got it. And you know, I've done the same thing. Reach out to people being like, man, that's great. Do you have that available? But it's really great stuff. So this figure's cool. And then I'm just curious, do you still have the original figure, like a version Disabilis, and then you put this on the head? You playing that game? Yeah, buy the extra, put on the head.
Yeah, I'm playing that expensive game. Yes.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
You know, the Four Horsemen. I don't think we need to speak in detail. It's pretty much everybody knows who they are and how phenomenal not only is the community but their work. But the end result is, I'm not a completionist, but I will tell you that, with that said, I pretty much have every single one of them. Sure. But I didn't chase after them to be a completionist. I have every single one of them because I love what they do, what they make. I just love watching the evolution of Legions and Cosmic and Figure Obscure, and then all these one-off releases and, you know, show exclusives and stuff like that. It's amazing. Take them, and I always want to save one in its original form. So like, I won't make a custom and pop and swap and jeopardize. Well, I mean, if I have a bunch of them, I will, but I wouldn't jeopardize if I only had one of that figure, you know, Elijah. I'm not going to jeopardize that. Right.
And the thing is, you're never, like, depending on what you're doing, in the Rhino's case, you're just popping on a head. You're not losing much from the original. Yeah. Now these, on the other hand, these are cool. These robot samurai knights, and you did 2 of them. Here's the red one. And actually, I was about to say there was some customizing, but isn't it mainly, this is actually just the head as well, right?
Well, so I did swap the head on here. Obviously a different sword, used a different, I don't know. Used some different weapons, but big deal. But these are basically, yeah, Josh, I'm sorry, buddy.
You're all competing for finite resources.
Yeah, you know, this Brian Von Berg sculpt is amazing. And they're, let's see, I think one is painted by him and one is painted by Brian Ramos. That's Brian Ramos that did that one.
The red.
Yeah, and the other one I believe I got from Brian Ramos at Legions Con 2023. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember. It's been a while. But great, I thought when I got those two, I was like, these are like freaking twins. This is like really cool, like a little samurai hit squad, you know.
Yeah.
So I really dig
What's great. What's hilarious is that, like, you know, I've often kind of referred to the sort of customizing suppliers out there that are sort of around the mythic legions and you know, cosmic, etc. As sort of like this cottage industry that's like developed adjacent to what the Horsemen are doing. And it's like, I'm with you. I'm not a completist at all, but sometimes I'm like, okay, you know, I'm not going to get everything in a wave. And I'm like, I like that one. I like that one. By the time I'm done, it's like, oh, F it. I'm just all in. Because, you know, so it's one of those things. And this guy knows, Julius Downey, hey, man, buy what you want, even if it basically means all of them. Happy Father's Day to you, sir. That's my brother. But yeah, as far as this stuff goes, they create these heads. You buy customs, and you're like, "Well, I like the original figure, so let me get another one." So like, it's smart on the Four Horsemen's part in that they're selling more figures in the process. But I'm not trying to be cynical. I'm acknowledging how smart all of this stuff is. So it's smart from a, creative standpoint, from a business standpoint. And I think there's a lot of this rising tides happening with this little community that's been created around it of customizers, painters, sculptors, right? And collectors. Anyway, these are cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's only two things that limit you in the Four Horsemen realm as an artist: your pocketbook, depending on how much you can afford, and your imagination.
Yeah.
If your imagination is, that's the only thing that can limit you. Everything else is just, outside the, it's just amazing. This pop and swap, and obviously we've learned some stuff from the inspiration around Glios, and now we've seen our first Infinite Legions through Glios, a Matt Dowdy combination, which is the only way to kick this line off. I just have to say this, this was the figure for Infinite Legions to collaborate on to get this line going. It's almost grassroots, stuff. So you can't beat it. And they just keep innovating.
We just did the a couple of us did the watch along for that reveal, and in Jeremy's sort of like marketing push towards that, he started using this phrase that I don't think had been sort of said with capital letters before this: the Legion's build system, right? And as a Lego person, I'm like, oh, I love that. Like, like there's the system. And so to say it with capital letters, proper noun, kind of like, and remind people that, yes, we make Mythic Legions figures. Yes, we make Cosmic Legions figures. But we've also established this system of interchangeable parts. And to your point, to launch Infinite Legions with that figure and Glios and that legacy of pop and swap, I think is super brilliant. And a lot of people wondered about the name Infinite. To me, there's like infinite possibilities. Yes, with working with other people and their IP, but also because of the build system and everything you're seeing here, what you're doing with these custom figures that you're creating with the help of these many talented artists. It just proves that point, right? These are such cool characters. Like, man, if these were actual build characters that you could buy, it would have a hard time resisting getting these sort of like robotic samurai. So cool stuff. But wait, there's more, and there really is more. And so I'm just isolating some of the stuff you have. I'm assuming as a person of, we come from the last century, born into the last century and exist now in this century. Star Wars, it was hard to not be influenced by as a young person, right? And so talk to me about like getting Legion's versions of Star Wars characters and creatures. That feels rude. I just realized that feels rude. But Star Wars beings on your shelf.
Well, I mean, Star Wars is what started it off for me. I mean, I was born in 68. I'll let you do the math. In 78, 77, 78, 79, and there on forward, I've been a Star Wars fan forever and haven't stopped. So to take the IP that started me into collecting and to combine that with the line that brings me so much joy for the last at least 10, 11 years it's a no-brainer. And you get people like, once again, Alejandro Soria. You have this situation here where we painted it up and I wanted one in gray and one in green. And these are basically the Gomorian brothers, and obviously there's not one in gray in Star Wars, but this is the artistic twist. I go to Scala, Alejandro, and I say, hey, I want this and this. What do you think? And they'd be like, dude, that's sick. Let me try it, And so there's a gorilla head you'll get to with the saliva. Yep. There's all kinds of stuff. And one of the things like Brian Ramos and these guys, Blaze Bear, I'll actually say, hey, I saw this head sculpt. I just did one with Alejandro a couple days ago. It's coming soon. He ordered up the skulls because he's going to order up a couple of these himself. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to come up with a couple different ideas with his artistic ability. the other part to this is creating these kind of helps bridge a void that I have not been doing that I'm getting back into for myself. And that is creating something unique and artistic and being involved in that. When I was growing up in Chicago, I drew all the time. In fact, I won lots of art contests. So I've always been an artist. It just went on pause for those 2 back-to-back careers. And part of that about me is starting to come back out. In fact, on Off-World and a couple other shows, I've given the promise that I'm going to start painting myself.
Love it. Yeah.
So that's one of the things I want to do. You know, when you look at people in this community, let's just take Trevor, okay? The phenomenal work that he does around his photography and the stories he paints and the pictures that he takes and just how they impact you are just, I mean, that is what I consider art. That is what I consider, like, when it can affect you, when you can look at a picture or a figure or it brings you back in time. Like this takes me back
emotional
to
response.
when I was a kid. Yeah. So, I mean, this is why I think this is one of many reasons why many of us in this community do this. Everyone has their own connection to it, and no one's wrong and no one's right, right? Everyone does what they do for themselves. And this built this beautiful community of artists. So
yeah, man, 100%. I can't wait to see sort of you getting involved in that stuff. Summers are my time to kind of, you know, I do have a regular creative outlet. I think the channel in many ways is that, and like everything, like little thumbnails every week that just kind of like brings me back to a time when I was doing that for a living, and you know, so all of that's great. But whipped out the sewing machine this week since I, you know, had some time off and was able to, you know, mess around with soft goods and just like, yeah. And I want to get to painting. Space is an issue, but you know, I'd love to be right there with you. Most recently, the only thing I've sort of painted was at Intern for a Day 2024, that the same one that you had painted up. You had yours painted red. That was like the first time in forever that I put paint to a sculpture. So I'll get there, but I'm excited to see you do that. And I love your sort of like ideas, color choices here. I think this looks fantastic. I can't wait to see a gray Gamorrean. This guy.
You know, and the other thing I want to say is another art piece about it. One of the things I get a lot of enjoyment that I never knew I would, and I think this is going to date me, make me sound old, but I think the introduction of the cell phone and a quality camera on a cell phone has literally brought out my photography side. And I've always loved photography. And so everything on my Instagram is my photography. Everything is all that. So what's up there, Carlos?
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, absolutely. Right. The idea of just like snapping a photo, like I see it in your lighting and everything. Yeah. I just really love, I love the internet for a couple of different reasons. There's some things I hate about it, but at the end of the day, it's actually pushing a lot of people who wouldn't otherwise have a regular sort of like creative outlet to have one. Like, you know, it's like, I want to share my toys and you're trying to figure it out. I see people get into photography. I see people getting into like setting up shots and doing almost like set design for like this one shot for their figures. And so I'm loving it. This guy, you know, I can't help it. I looked at this guy like, you know, that, God, it must have been Two Towers or whatever, where the orcs and these guys are like, or, you know, goblins talking about the meats. Like, oh yeah, why can't we have meats? The guy's like spitting.
Oh yeah.
This sculpt totally reminds me of that, but this looks really, really great, man. I think he's such a cool look.
I think if we had the Euro Legions, one of those wonderful men, put the voice behind him, I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah. Really cool, man. This is again Skeletor Soria for the painted head sculpt. So he's doing the painting, and then the head sculpts are coming from different places, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they're coming from some of them. I'm really good at putting it in there, and sometimes I've missed like. I mean, there for a while I was getting really good at my format of shout outs, and then some of them I got, you know, pinched for time. Like, okay, got that done. Let's kick that out. Let's get it out there. Awesome. Get back to work. You know, whatever. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I forgot to. Okay.
That male, look at that. That looks fantastic.
Look at the eyes and the gross teeth and the slobbery, because, you know, he's not brushing his teeth, man. He don't go to the dentist. We know that. Look at that. And if he does, he should definitely change dentists. I mean,
Yeah,
we got
no, that's not quality work. Vanger. This is a really great looking head sculpt, and this is really great paint job of that head.
That's
sculpt.
a Brian Ramos right there. Tell you right now,
Yep.
that he's an up and rising star. I've watched him go from good to excellent. He's really stepped up his game, and I've got to know him and his wife, and of course, he's celebrating his first Father's Day. Congratulations!
Oh yes, congrats, man.
Shout out to Brian and his whole family. Got to spend some time with them, and I literally talk with Brian weekly, if not on the phone. He's a really quality human being that has the passion for art, and he's an amazing dad. So
beautiful. And so it looks like you grabbed this from Josh Brown. So this is Josh Brown print.
Yep.
Over on joshbrowncustoms.com.
Yeah, and you can see how I was getting good there, where I said I can tell you like who the print is and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Over here. Man, it's great stuff. And such a cool way to kind of get these characters on your shelf, right? Like these representations of these things that we grew up with. I'm assuming you were into the D&D cartoon as a kid, or okay.
Huge into D&D. I love watching. No, it's not Gradix Quest, Curtis. It's not called Gradix Quest. It's called, it's called the Mythic Legions. I like watching those guys play sometimes on their videos or live when it goes live. But the end result is, once again, back when I was a kid, drawing dragons, all of this stuff that you get from Mythic Legion, especially the Legions line, and then drawing aliens, different aliens from like Star Wars. So the cosmic kind of fills that need, right? Just awesome. Or drawing Iron Maiden albums or whatever,
You just brought me back. I have a memory of pausing. Must have been on video on the Dungeon Master, and then putting paper on the screen and tracing.
Do you remember those awesome? Yeah, there's some really cool stuff. I remember staying after in art with in my art class, and you had those tracing like overhead projectors, and you could throw it on there and just rough out the lines, and then you can custom it out. So Legion's Quest. There you go, Joe. Sorry about that.
Yep. Yeah, no, I love it. This guy, you kind of mentioned him earlier, but this is great. This is on that Baradoc, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was not one of those that went all in on this wave, so I'm waiting. And actually, I'm totally fine with it because I've got a backlog anyway. Looking forward to them in maybe August or September, whenever they land. But this looks great.
Yeah, this is another one that's just, and something that's Alejandro does that I haven't really seen anybody doing is the saliva. Like just that wet mouth, like gritty, ruthless, vicious character mouth look and deco that he does. And then he does eyes really, really well. He started doing eyes a few years ago, but the eye work you'll see on oh God, what is her name? You'll see on another picture come up. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, amazing.
I mean, even the
I don't
bubbles
necessarily have all
tongue.
of them, but I'll see what I have. So I don't necessarily grab all of the customs, but just the ones that were like immediately were like, oh, oh, look at that. The eyes are fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Emil kind of messed with the saliva on. There was a custom that he did. He and I were talking about it, but I don't see a whole lot of other folks doing this too much. It's cool.
I hope it lasts. The only thing I ever think is it going to yellow? I mean, well, in this case, who cares what yellows? It'll probably be match right up. But and the other thing is just be careful with it so you don't break it. Like hit the mouth and like snap the. I think he uses super glue or something like that, or I'm guessing some kind of like that, and strings it, and then But
the coloring though, the sort of coloring here and the orange on his fur is fantastic. Perfect.
Yeah, I told him it's funny. Every once in a while, he and I have some fun times. Me and Scala will sit there. I'm like, "Damn you! You posted the damn picture. I just have mine ready to go for the custom." He's like, "Sorry, bro. I beat you to it, or whatever." But it's awesome. I mean, I wouldn't have it if it wasn't for him. So,
love this, man. And then this guy's a little more recent. This is actually one of my favorite Legions fix. I'm really drawn to the color use, and so for a while, like it was All Stars maybe 5 or 4 plus, whatever this was. This was a nice pop of color for a figure that they added into that. A lot of the Motu sort of inspired ones had more color. And then we got into like Poxus and Cosmic Legions, and like the color just sort of exploded. So, but this looks really cool. What a cool combination with that sort of head. It looks like it's meant for this figure. I don't know if the designer did it that way, but it looks really good. That's
a Brian Ramos. Yeah, that's a Brian Ramos painted picture figurehead. And yeah, he posted that. That was one of those ones where he posted. I'm like, ding, okiedos. Yep, okay, ding. So I reached out to him like, man, I want that. He goes, you do? I'm like, yes. And he's like, okay. So, and here we are. Okiedo's little demon brother.
That's so good. You triggered the Iron Maiden. Very cool. I think that might be it. Let's see. No, just kidding. But wait, there's more. This guy. This is cool. This actually, the style of this, the paint style of this feels to me slightly different. It's a little bit on the faces. Reminds me kind of like an animated kind of thing going on.
I'll give you a
Mumra, actually.
Try to guess who painted that.
Oh, this one? Oh,
without cheating.
I couldn't. It was right there. Like I can't pretend that I didn't see this. I'm assuming
it's Blaze. Yeah. And he has a style, and that's another thing you learn. Yeah. With this community, you can look at a head sculpt and go, okay, that's Skella, that's Blaze Bear, that's Brian Von Burke, that's Emil, that's whoever, and yeah, and it's been said a million times over. I think Dork Players keeps talking about everyone. The best pop and swap bodies that are ready for you are those knights, right? That's whole knight release across the board, from the Armory Knights into the actual later releases that you could order, even to I think they're still on the in stock. I think you could still do maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's still some on there.
I haven't looked in a bit.
Great bodies.
I didn't notice.
You can pretty much put any head on there you want for the most part, as long as it kind of flows.
Yeah, and they work, like a lot of these knight bodies. You proved it today. It's like, oh, we're looking at samurais. Now we're looking at, they work. They're stylistically ambiguous enough sometimes to kind of just work. And I think that might be it. So before
did you pull Beluolith? Did you pull that one?
I did not. I saw her too. That was she's beautiful, but because I'm
and she's fairly recent, so there she is.
Misogynist, I didn't pick her. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, yeah, happy Father's Day. But this sculpt in particular, we've seen, now a couple different times, but to see different painters do it, just like, the Horsemen do it all the time, you can really make something look new and fresh. And I think she looks really cool.
Well, when she has eyes, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yes, eyeballs, pupils.
Yep.
Gorgeous.
She has peepers on her rotten, beautiful face.
I'm a fan of the noseless, but yes, I like the nose too.
Oh, I love them both.
Look at that. Did you have both of them painted up or just the one?
I just got that one painted up. But I will tell you, I think that's one of the most attractive Legion's face sculpts that they've made. That and Christmas.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think they did a great job. So if I was ever to fall in love with a zombie girl, this would probably be the one.
And it's done. I don't know if it was intentional, but what is that from Halloween? Here comes Halloween. Here comes Halloween.
Yeah, in the
Tim Burton. Yeah, something whatever. We're both old. See, but yeah, I don't. Was it intentionally designed to be like Sally? That's her name. Yeah, Sally.
Nightmare Before. Oh no, that's Nightmare Before Christmas. I was thinking.
No,
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that the intention? The inspiration behind the colorway and everything?
I didn't ask him, to be honest with you. I saw it and it caught my eye, and I reached out and said, "Hey." He's like, "Yeah, I can get you one done." So
take a look at it sometime. It looks really good in that way. What's up, Arthas? Another talented designer. It's funny. I just looked over when you said Ghost of Christmas Past, and I looked at it, and right next to it is my one and only Legion's custom head to toe figure.
There's another not only talented guy, but I'm going to tell you right, Arthas is awesome. Like he and I have shared a lot. He was on Legion's Lair. recently, the last episode, and I just had such a great time hearing about his background, seeing his art. I mean, I was been in the Philippines and Thailand, some of the favorite places he's like, I mean, it was awesome, and just gave him even more depth of being a really cool human being.
Yeah. And artists, if you're ever back in the Bay, hit me up. I had a great sort of like, we hung out, had some coffee, and
Nice.
good dude. And I learned all about his art and good stuff. Okay. Is there anything over there that you wanted to show? Because I know you were starting to pull stuff out, or just the rhinos, or anything more?
I mean, I got cabinets of stuff. It just depends.
No.
I think
you don't have to. I don't want to mess with that. I know you pulled out the rhino. I wasn't sure if you had any sort of ready to go.
No, I didn't pull any others. I think this does it justice on a lot of these too.
Here's the other one. Was this Sun Wukong, and so it just popped up. It's a video, but what was that last image? Was that like an AI image with this figure described, or like how was it?
Yeah. So what was funny is I was toying around. I was toying around with it, and in all honesty, like I don't want to open up that the AI debate around AI or not, because I think it has its purpose, but it's not human created AI in the aspect of like, okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
But
moving on.
The result was I threw that in to search some Sun Wukong, and it brought up my AI chat thing that I had, and it actually created that image off of that figure.
Oh, okay.
It was like a total, like, I'm like, it says, oh, it's ready now. And I'm like, what's ready? So I opened the file and it created, AI is getting kind of creepy. It just did it.
It is.
It pulled up it created that figure or that art piece off of that figure.
Yeah. It's cool. It is kind of wild, but I love this head. I've seen this head on a couple different figures. And I love Sun Wukong. There's plenty of Sun Wukong options. Love the eyeballs, the pupils, everything. Again, to your point about the knights and kind of all the different armors, here again is like some, it works. It works. It's not exactly the samurai armor, but it translates. So anyway,
the color flow's nice too.
Customs. You've got a great collection, man, and like you said, these are totally like little art pieces. It's fantastic. Let's shift a little bit and let's look at other customs out there. I know you're a Masters of the Universe fan. And so are you familiar at all? I'll just ask, are you familiar at all with Medusa Customs?
I've seen this guy. Look at your brain. It's like shooting the shelf here for a second. I'm going to double check and see if I'm following, but I have several of these pictures.
Yeah. So Mario specifically has like this page. That's all of the Motu customs. And, I love Motu. I love the idea of it. Like, I just think it's such a cool mashup of the science fiction and the fantasy and that sort of like Kirby-esque, New Gods thing, or what's his name? John Carter from Mars kind of a thing going on. Right. And so when I see these customs that he does, it's just like, oh man, that's like what I saw, I think, in my head when I was like, playing with Motu. Going back, you look at those old sculpts and you're like, oh, that's different from what I remember it being. Because in our brains, it's just like, oh, this thing's amazing. And they're still amazing. But this, I think, is what was closer to what was in my brain. So he's got all sorts. Like, I was trying to pick out a couple. Like these guys right here, he's been doing sort of a look back at all his different customs. And he did this shot of his 3 different beast men. And
so cool.
It's the same kind of thing where, like sourcing out different head sculpts and painting. But he does amazing work. And it's everything from like the painting, the curating, the finding the pieces, putting on bits of fur, whatever it is. Like he's always like just little things that he's doing. His weathering is solid. Like I look at this Horde Trooper and I'm just like, oh, I have this figure and it's a great beginning, like foundational. It's a great sculpt and everything. And this is like in my head, like, oh, this is where it can go. And I look at his work and it's like, yep, that's kind of what I imagine with all the weathering. He added this cool looking gun, but worth a look if you're into Motu. All of this stuff, like this buzz off. What a cool looking.
That's super cool.
And I know you're into Masterverse too, so you'll like some of these. You're like, oh, okay, I noticed where these parts are coming from, but it's just such a different thing once he gets his hands on it. So
it's amazing, you know. There's so many artists out there. Once they get their hands on a lot of different IPs, they metamorphose them into a whole new, like, oh my gosh, I like it, to oh my gosh, I gotta have that. Like the Ram Man.
Whew.
I just liked that the other day. Yeah, like that is. I love that Ram Man picture. I remember seeing that a few days ago.
I'm so curious if this head is like 2 pieces, because like I can't even wrap my head around getting in there and painting inside that.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it is. I think the in-person, because there's different helmets you can put on them. I'm pretty sure I have the figure. And in fact, I bought 2 of the Ram Man because there's the fully armored and then there's the one with his face. There's like 3 head sculpts in that Masterverse for this Ram Man. And I went ahead and did that. And so I think you can take the helmet off, paint the face, and then slide it back up in there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is based at all on, well, like I don't know what he's doing. I'm not breaking it, but because I'm looking at some of these body parts and I was like, oh, that doesn't quite look like the Masterverse one. So I think he's like bringing stuff in from different places. But like, yeah, because I have the Masterverse ones too. Then they have like squishy legs, right? Rubbery legs, not so much these.
Yeah, it's like and what's funny is that Ram Man there doesn't have the Ram Man legs that I have. So that's a full custom.
Yeah. It's something else. He's putting it exactly.
This Ram Man looks like he belongs in Warhammer.
Yep. That aesthetic is there. I love this Grizzler. Even with the fur, he's just doing some cool stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool. Those gritting teeth.
Yeah. Those claws. Yeah, I love this stuff. And as a Motu fan, I kind of I love to see people do their different takes on it. You know, I'm not, a lot of folks get upset like, oh, that doesn't look right, or that's not the whatever thing. I remember, I love it. I love seeing what Origins does, and I love when they do the mashups. I just kind of love to see what people can do with this sort of like foundation, this lore. Great looking cape too, man. Love me a good.
There's an old saying out there: one person's trash is another person's treasure. That's what makes art wonderful, right? Because we all have different eyes and desires. So yeah.
And plus, you know, like as a creative person myself, I know that when you iterate on something, all sorts of great stuff happens along the way. And so, you know, just these are different people iterating on a concept. Look at that. Oh, look at that merman. That's ridiculous.
That's so cool.
Anyway, ephemera for days. I could sit here and just do a whole show about Medosa Customs, but check it out. Mario's killing it over here. So there's this thing called the legendary secret swap where customizers will submit figures and then they will, without names, sort of be distributed. It's kind of like a Secret Santa kind of thing. And then you say, I want to do a figure, and you submit a figure, and then you get a figure back from somebody else you don't know from whom. Just shows up at your door. They do it for the holidays and they do it in the summer. This is the summer one. This is work done by Nico, Artman Customs, a fellow educator, and I hope he's enjoying his summer. I think he's LAUSD. But he did Namorita from Wakanda Forever, and I think she looks fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, such a cool design. And generally with the MCU, sometimes the designs are kind of just like they blend, which is great. Like sometimes I want to watch a movie and just sort of enjoy the character or whatever, and the design doesn't really strike me. But there were some designs, particularly in Wakanda, whether it's Wakanda Forever or Black Panther, that I'm just like, man, I really love how they translated that concept from comic book to screen. Namorita being one of them, and all the sort of Atlanteans being one of them. I think she looks fantastic. Artman Customs, and then this is the stock. I forget his name. Nice. Atuma. Yeah. But great stuff. I love that he did the masked head and the unmasked head. Here's a couple of different legends, other Atlanteans. Cool concept, right? Like you throw in, you're like, hey, customizers, let's go and see what you end up with. So this is from the legendary secret swap. And then here's Nico's pics of his stuff before he sent it out. I'm
Yeah, I
assuming.
got the page up right now. I wasn't following it, but now I am.
Yeah, there's so many good things for us to check out. I don't know if Rob is still here, but I'm sure Rob probably already saw this. He's a big Zorro fan. But so this was made by Zach Seat Driving. So you can kind of see on the legendary shop, it'll say like, look, Dave Wheeler got this figure. And then it tells you who it's from. And it kind of, the legendary secret swap shows all the figures that have gone out and stuff. But Zorro was one of those characters that I grew up with, not really realizing sort of like its roots, and like even in my brain, not really putting together like, oh, the links between say Zorro and Batman and some of like the similarities and inspiration.
That's awesome.
But here is Zach's photos before he sent them out, custom soft goods. I don't totally know. I haven't done all the reading here. It'll tell you. Oh, it's Beyonder. Marvel Legends Beyonder. Painted black. Painted black. They got the head. Really cool stuff. Here he is with a Wolvie. We don't actually see a whole lot of Zorro. I don't know what's up with that, but I feel like it's kind of it's a cool sort of superhero. We see Shadow, right, from that era of stuff. Dick Tracy.
We haven't seen one that I'm surprised we haven't seen is a Lone Ranger and Tonto.
Yeah.
I think that would be a really cool, even a custom
cool character. I had known this a long time ago, and someone just reminded me of it on one of these streams. They're talking about the connection between the Green Hornet and the Lone Ranger, in that the Green Hornet character is a descendant of the Lone Ranger character in universe or whatever. Oh, cool stuff. I'm not.
Do you remember the Cisco kids? Do you remember Poncho and Cisco? Do you remember that show? It's right back. Yeah, that dates me, but that's a great show too. They're funny. They're just two, ragtag, oh, Cisco, oh, Poncho. And they're like little buddies. And
was it like an action type superhero thing or no?
It was a show very much like the Lone Ranger.
Oh, okay.
But they had Cisco and Poncho, and talk about a fun show. That was a good series.
Let's see. Okay. In addition, let's move from customs to actual figures. Like you and I often are talking about like, man, what a time to be a collector, because there's figures of all sorts of stuff happening. And I've said this about things like this. So this is a meant to be like a kind of a human anatomy figure, but done with a little bit more style and flair, right? A little bit of action superhero flair. I have an old Figma, or not super old, but a Figma human anatomy figure that's totally meant to be like, yeah, I love it. It's just small. Like a lot of the true 112 stuff is just smaller for like, the Legions and AWOC stuff that I get, that you and I get. This is going to replace that. And I think it's only $40, $41 plus shipping. And so some of the photos on this and the posability, there is a natural looking muscle. And then there's the gray version, which like on quick glance, you're like, oh crap, it's the Vision. But look at these poses, man.
It does look like the Vision.
It does, right?
Yeah.
The posing and the posability on these is just like ridiculous in the way that like, why would one think that this needs to happen? Why would
There's only one thing I want to call out, Brick, on this one, and I really love this figure is his knee joint being all white. It kind of, you know what I mean? It's like that's one big tendon.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But yes. And I suspect that you see these things, but you don't let it totally bother you, because right?
Well, they art decoed it, I think, a little bit with the head. I think you don't catch it because they did the whole top in white with those so I think that throws it off. It's still a very, very cool figure. I've actually thought about putting it on pre-order. It's just that one, not when it's standing there, it looks good because that's the patella. That is the actual patella, But when it's like that, that's the one that gets me. It's like I probably have to pop the leg apart and customize and paint it or something, just around the patella.
Or here.
Same thing. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm I'm in the fantasy world, so I'm like, but look at that, man. In the fantasy world, I'm this flexible. Actually, I'm not. I'm relatively flexible, but that
Rick Jones calls him Meat Man.
yeah, he's totally Meat Man. And
Meat Man.
Yeah, and I saw that Rob Zob. I like that. Rob did see the Zorro. Yeah, T sent it to him.
Nice.
Yeah, those are really cool. Cool looking Zorro. Oh, I love that. People then start having ideas for customs, right? Dread Pirate Roberts. Love that. And this I'm wondering about. What are you saying here about the Lone Ranger? Interesting. Meat Man. All good, Brian. There is no late. You're like a wizard. You arrive just on time, man.
It's so gross, but looks so good.
And all the posability, these whatever, it's like, hey, it's like going to those museums, the human motion museums, but like if everybody was a martial artist. I'm into the weird things in general. Originally I'd set up that Figma with my Decebalus as sort of like a toy that Decebalus had. But I love the size of this, and I'm having a hard time deciding if I'm just doing the regular meat or the meat in the gray. I don't know. Like, it's just cool. Anyway, and it's very Attack on Titan. I know folks have said that as well. It's are you much into manga or anime? Is that in your wheelhouse?
A little bit, yeah, absolutely.
So there is
all over the place.
There's a thing called Attack on Titan. I don't know if you're familiar with these, like sometimes giant, different scale things. But there's one.
Oh, yeah, they're really cool.
Like this. Yeah. All right. Some other stuff that you can actually buy, not just customs, is Savage Crucible. Their Wave 2 figures are coming. Folks have them in hand. And I kickstarted. I have figures from 1, 2, and 3 from the Kickstarter. Obviously, I got my Wave 1 figures a while back. Wave 2, I got the email saying it's coming. Unfortunately, it's going to my school, and school is out. And so I'll be reunited with my Wave 2 in August. But they're looking really good. This is that. Yeah, it's fine. I can wait.
I got to be honest with you. I felt like sitting there,
No, I actually apologize to Harbinger, man, because they've sent me 2 figures that they never say you have to, but that I should open up and show and share that I haven't. So serves me right. But this guy looks really great. This is a Frazetta, based on a Frazetta painting, warrior with ball and chain, I think, or something. Soft goods are looking really good. The way, we've only had the Lemurians, the lizard people, on hand. And so the way that they're handling the flesh and how that all turned out was looking really good in these photos. Did you do much Savage Crucible at all, or?
Oh yeah. I bought multiple Lemurians. I love that wave. And there's pretty much a Lemurian standoff right now between that and my lovely Mythic Legion snake people, So the Ninians and the Lemurians they're 2 factions that aren't really happy with each other in my collecting room right now. In fact, they're displayed that way too. And then this second wave here, I did an all-in through them directly, and I have multiple other ones on order, so I can, because a couple of these have heads packs and stuff where they're totally different characters, and so I think they're killing it with this line. This line and Monster Force were 2 big ones that really hit me strongly in the gotta have those. But I didn't go in on the fish people. I didn't do Wave 3.
I've got a couple fish people. I went 1, 2, and 3. I went really heavy because I was just really excited. I think that the figures are great. Always just like you, a patron of the arts. So I was just kind of like, great, look at these guys doing something, trying to make something happen. And I'm really happy with everything I've gotten. I just, someone pointed out, I was like, man, you barely talk about them. It's like, it kind of, as I got my Wave 1s, it kind of hit that phase where I was just having a harder time managing this mess and filming everything. But I haven't filmed, I just haven't edited. But look at this, man. He's looking really great. Definitely for me, he is the standout of the humans. But that the other figure's looking great.
That's mine.
Yeah. See, I actually didn't back him. I couldn't get everything, but trust me, I look at these and I wish I did. He looks really good.
I got 3 of them. Because well, look at it. I don't know if you're on a
No.
page where you can see the different head sculpts that he has, but
I remember though. Yes.
they're sick.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They came, you know, when they're in the Kickstarter, is all about the sort of different accessories and all the little bonus parts of like, you know, head on a hook.
Isn't he Yo Man or something like that? What's his name?
Who-Man.
Who-Man, that's right. Yeah, Who-Man.
Yeah, in the comic, I don't know if you ever got to read the comic, but there's a sort of joke in that. It's another species misunderstanding of him saying, "I'm human."
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah, I haven't read the comic. I the vast amount of stuff that I have to do.
Sure. No, I get
hopefully
it.
Hopefully I'll get across that someday here soon.
Look at that armor, man. That is cool. That sort of single-breasted. That's cool. Very cool.
You know, he reminds me of, he would fit in really good with all my Zesray barbarians, and he looks awesome.
Oh man, I love Zesray figs too. They're so different from a lot of the other things that are out now that I just really enjoy those figures. This is cool.
And later on, if we have some time, I can take you in and we'll show you some of my shelves if we have some time.
Ooh. And yeah, we will see. And then, you know, Kai Lab, J Kai, I appreciated this post. He took this awesome photo, beautiful setup, crisp focus on the character, and then just in this amazing world. And I love this. It says, please don't miss this brave warrior. He survived the battlefield. At present, he is also popular in China.
Oh, that's cool.
Toys come from Savage Crucible. Yeah, that's exactly what you just. Again, you and I feel like we're attuned. But when I read that, I was like, oh, that's cool to know. That's good to know that it's out there. And you know, like, I don't know. I got to make it out there one day. That's a life goal. And then here's the original shot, and you can kind of see the work he's doing in editing. But very cool. He looks really good. And so he's got bits on here that he didn't have in that other the Savage Crucible shots. So it's kind of cool to see them all done. Okay. So you said, hey, let's talk about this. And I was like, yes, please. I know nothing about them. I've seen people talking about them. They look amazing. And that's the Blokees. This is your post of the Bumblebee. So this is a new, I was going to say addiction, but a new aspect of our addiction that you are enjoying right now, right? Blokeestransformers?
Yeah, this one came out of nowhere. So I was at my local comic shop, Cosmic Monkey, which is here in Portland, Oregon. And they started carrying Blokees. They had put up a whole display. And so I was like, oh, I've seen these. Okay, so I grabbed one, and the first one I grabbed was the Nemesis.
Of course. Hold them up real quick.
And the cool thing is with these, they all light up. And not only do they light up, just to show you the amount, everything opens.
So
I mean, these are just absolutely amazing. I mean, look at the articulation. Like,
yeah,
ankle rocker, articulation all over. They twist. You know, I mean, literally.
Is it all plastic? The way it looks like you're handling it, and it looks like it's got weight to it the way you're handling it. But is it?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of weight to it. It's it's a plastic model that has, like, on the classic class. This is the class. This is so there's the classic class. There's several different classes. Okay, there's the Defender 2-inch. Then there is the I forgot the name of the second version. And then there's the classic. And then there's a couple of the really big ones they just started making up.
Those are the action ones, the big ones that you're referring to? Yes.
Yeah, those are the big.
Some of those up.
The middle one's Galaxy. The middle one's called Galaxy. Okay. So these have really caught me by surprise. Now, I collect all the 3.0 DLX Iron Mans and the Transformers. So love those. And those have a die-cast body. They light up. And, you know, 3.0's engineering is next level.
100%. Yeah.
I have not seen, now I know, like, if you're a true Transformers fan, some of this stuff, you'll be like, well, that's not a G1 and blah, blah. I don't get into that. I'll be honest with you. I watch Transformers, but I appreciate the figure because it's a cool figure. And so when I took this out of the box, and it was laid out on all the sprues, just like I was building an old model back in the day with glue, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give this a shot. By the end, I will tell you, I was like, this is freaking cool. I built this guy. He is super articulated and solid. Every piece snaps too. So there's this like satisfaction of like, ooh, it's there.
Yeah.
And then it lights up. I don't know. I don't know how much more you can say. Here's Optimus.
That's so fun.
You shake them and the light goes on.
Oh, okay. Where is the light? Is the light in the head? Or is it light piping through the body? Oh, okay. Got it.
So yeah, but you can hear everything. Listen. Everything has that nice click. I don't know. It's aesthetics.
Yeah.
I put Scourge together. So Scourge.
It's experiential, actually. Yeah. Scourge. That's the one. Yeah, I like that translation of that character.
I got Mirage.
Movie one. Oh man, you've got a bunch. So I'm curious, like how quickly did that little collection amass?
Oh, it's embarrassing to tell you.
2 weeks, you know. It's don't be embarrassed. It's impressive. Nice.
This is a Toy Fair exclusive, so this is like legitimate. It looks like real gold. It's like shimmery metal flake. And it's like everything moves. You don't like it there, you can put it here. You don't like it there, you can put it there. Everything. I mean, literally, this figure sits down. I had him in a chair. I have this little miniature chair. He sits down.
That's so cool.
For a figure that is literally a joytoy size figure, 3 3/4. So, and then this one's going out to Starscream. I don't know if you're watching. I haven't seen you in the chat, but I know you're a really diligent patron and follower to many of the channels. But this one's for you, buddy. And you're probably going to be bummed that you didn't see it, but I just got done building Starscream.
Oh,
I mean, look at this. And look at
do you know what? Were they? Is that from somewhere, like that design? Is that because that's not the cartoon? That's not from, obviously, the movies.
So this is the next wave that they're just starting to release that I'm definitely getting. Did you see the Transformers 1 series, the movie?
I did. Oh, was that for the movie?
This is from Transformers 1.
Okay,
all of those figures are really cool because they're very Art Deco versions of the Transformers. So this is the first one that I've got from the Transformers 1 release line.
Love that. I actually, so the only Transformers I actively have right now are, ironically, I was just thinking about it as you're saying it. It's like, I don't know, this new sort of like moment of building kits of Transformers building. I do the Yellow Park ones, which really aren't a whole lot compared to, I've seen the Blokees. Yeah, but the Blokees are like true, like a bunch of building. The Yellow Park ones are pretty limited unless they have model-y ones as well. But I've actually been waiting on a bunch of stuff from their Transformers 1 stuff that I ordered in February. And I was kind of like, oh, I guess it'll take a while. Kind of forgot about it. I got busy with work. Now that I'm in summer, I emailed them, hey, what's up with these? They're like, oh, well, we tried to ship them. And for some reason, it didn't go through at the place where it was supposed to go. So we'd love to send them to you. We just don't know where. And so they've just been sitting on them. So those will be coming soon. And to answer, to go back and so cool, man. And to answer Rob's comment earlier, I think, oh no, he was just asking me about my Savage Crucible delivered to school. We actually just pause on mail. So no, if it's just being held by the USPS and then they resume delivery in August. But sorry, what were you going to say about that guy?
I was just going to say I have 3 more that I picked up earlier today. This is the movie Megatron.
And that's from your local shop.
Yep. Yeah. And so the cool part is if you belong to a local comic shop, a lot of times you have a box. I have a box with them where I have a subscription. It's free. I just have to have like 4, I think it's 5 titles that I have to get each week or month or whatever. And then you get a free box. But then you get a big discount. You get a big discount. So, these are running me about $14, $15 a piece. That's it.
Yeah, man. That's
$14, $15 a piece for.
I don't buy many toys that are $14, $15 a piece. Ultrazilla, who definitely knows. Yeah, Ultrazilla definitely knows what's up when it comes to this stuff. He's saying Blokees does their own take of various eras or shows or movies. So they're distinctly trying to be what they're supposed to be, but then there's also their own distinct styling on them.
Yep.
And I like what I'm seeing. Everything you're showing me, I'm just like, I really like the takes that they're doing. Yeah, this stuff is cool, man. And you've been posting them. You've been kind of let's see. You've showed this guy. Looks really great. If you want to take a look at the Recon Rage page, here's the Optimus that you showed us. Scale.
I like to do the reels so you can show them, and then I show them in hand. I always hold them in my hand so you can see, like, oh, there's the size ratio in case anybody has any questions.
And as you start painting, I don't know if you'd ever consider taking paint to these guys, but these would, they would definitely, I feel like they'd lend themselves to a lot of that, especially with all the lines for like the panel lining and maybe some weathering. These feel like really cool toys to play with and customize. That cannon, that little blaster on his hand thing, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Does the Nemesis have a bunch of different accessories? Like, is it truly like a unique character? Yeah.
Yeah, he's got like his power sword and a bunch of different things. I put him with his double blades on his arms. But yeah, there's different ways you can, and they all come with different weapons. Like Starscream from the movie, I mean, came with his weapon, his actual sidekick here. So
cool. So, his little tank buddy.
Yep. His little tank buddy,
not a little.
And that's fully articulated. You can raise the barrel up and down, turn it. It's like,
of course it is.
And I mean, how big is this thing?
That's dope.
So, I'm super.
And Rob is asking, are these just model kits? I mean, you can answer. Are these just model kits?
Yes, they're model kits that they're precision model kits. So you literally put every piece of this together, but they snap together like. I mean, they're on top of their game with this, and there's a body piece in the middle. I don't have one that's out. When you start putting together, like in the body here, there's actually a formed piece that has all the LED lighting and electrics in there, and it's a little bit heavier. So I think that's what kind of gives it some really good weight too. But yeah, I mean, you just can't go. I mean, if you like Transformers, or if you just like to build a really cool little figure for cheap, and then say, hey, and this is the thing with Blokees. I think why it sucked me in so quickly. I saw videos on them and I was like, okay, those are cool, but I do all the DLX die-cast, light up 3.0 stuff. And I'm just like, really, do I need to do this? I feel like those figures, when it comes to non-transforming transforming, I think those are the Pierre des Resistants. I mean, they are the best. But I got to say, for $13 to $17, a light up figure that's fully articulated with amazing paint applications that you literally put together, that's the key. Like you have more of a connection to it. My new,
what you got there, man?
Unfortunately, or fortunately, I decided, because I've always loved, you ever seen Nendroids?
Yes, love them.
So I love
Ultrazilla and I were looking at the Shin Godzilla Nendroid last week. Love it. I love the chibi, the super deformed kind of thing going on.
So these
are cool.
And I don't even know how to explain how cool these are. I don't have them out yet, but I will tell you, they're fully articulated. The paint decos are amazing. They have 3 series. I bought all 3 series. And I got the other box over there.
I love it.
And respect. Another thing that I can build, they don't take up a lot of room. They'll go into my 3.0 DLX Transformers line. These will all be scattered at the feet of each one of those characters. But I mean, how can you like go wrong with something? And so this has 12 figures in it. 12.
Do they have repeats in those?
For $29. Huh? Yeah. So no, you're guaranteed. When you buy it like this in a box, you're guaranteed to get all the releases. Now, what they do have is, if you look here, it'll show you, it'll give you like the examples of the rares. So there's some that are ultra colored, 1 in 100, 1 in 500, 1 in 44, 1 in 24. Kind of like how they do comic books, but the paint schemes and the stuff in this, there's no stickers. They're all decoed. So anything you see on there is an actual deco, not a. I mean, they're just fun. And I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have too many chibi things, but this is really neat.
I've seen the enablers. Mario had them. He was on a couple weeks ago, but he was like unboxing some of them, like and it was kind of cool. I was like, what are these things? They look like, you know, they come in a little box, or they're almost like gashapon, or like back in the day we'd go to this Marchand market and buy these little things. But there's definitely a lot more to them, like you said, different plastics, so that there's different colorways and everything. It's really cool. But so there's no repeats in the box, as Heinrich's pointing out. He's saying they remind him of Gundam kits, but there's no repeats in the box, but there are chase figures. So meaning,
yes,
like, is it possible to get, like, say, I don't know, like if there's a Megatron in the line, to get a Megatron, but then get the chase so that he's in a different colorway, and you don't necessarily, like, what happens if you wanted Megatron? I guess you just are out of luck in that case, or you're like, hey, I got the chase, I guess.
So so I'm going to go one more level of being transparent here. So not only did I buy one set of each series, I bought double sets. So I literally have 2 boxes of each series so that I can get a better chance at getting, because they're all cool.
Sure.
If you pull up any videos on YouTube and you look at them, the standard release, there's a shiny release, which is a shimmery metal flake, and then there's a translucent. The translucent one, like, I'm gonna tell you, they look like little Jolly Ranchers with cute heads. And you can't go wrong.
That's awesome, man.
I'm just a big kid, man. You're talking about the guy that used to collect Smurfs. I mean, I think on Offworld we talked about one of the lightning questions was, tell me a figure line that you collected that you would never admit to anybody back in the day. And it was my little Smurfs. I collected all the Smurfs when I was a kid, and I thought they were cool. Nice. I've definitely matured and obviously realized that I'm just being me for the rest of my life. So guess what? Yeah, I'm collecting little chibi Transformers by Blokees, and I'm very happy.
You're doing it right, because it's that last part you just said. I am very happy. Done. Full stop. You're good. Yeah, Rob's there. Careful, Rob. Got other things to buy. But yes, I saw that as well. They have Saint Seiya, which is kind of cool, and in gold metallics, which is kind of cool.
And Rob, if you're interested, go to your local comic shop. A lot of them are setting up. They're actually, Blokees is putting displays in a lot of the bigger comic shops, like a whole display. And a lot of them are getting multiple boxes of this, and they'll cut you a deal, even sometimes cheaper than Blokees site. So you might want to look there first.
Very cool. So yeah, and then I was looking at, and so this is the SSTF shots. All pretty much been all Blokees for the last couple of months, but it looks like almost 2 years. I think dude is out of the Philippines, if I'm not mistaken. But these are the bigger ones, like you said, the action. Can you tell me how big the action ones are? Did you say 8 to?
Yeah, they're about that big. They're about a size of, I would say, from what I've seen. I don't have I think there's only 2 action ones that have been made so far. I think Megatron. And probably Optimus Prime. I think the first 2 that they've made, that line has not really produced a lot yet.
Okay, got it. Yeah, they just announced.
It'll be interesting to see how they compete in that line with everything else, right? It's going to be a tough one, but the price point's going to pull people in, and the fact that you build them, I think that's the key point.
Okay, so do you happen to know what their price point is for these?
I could look really quick while you're
doing that. So my 3 Transformers, like, I love Transformers. There's a bunch of them out there, but like, if I'm ever like, I want certain characters, the top 2 are always Megatron and Shockwave. I just, and it has nothing to do with them being guns, although they're pretty cool looking guns, but I just think they look cool. They look very sci-fi, like Megatron, his helmet. Like, I think that's a great look. And the one-eyed Shockwave, and Shockwave has the coolest voice. Well, him and Soundwave, I would say. And Soundwave would be the 3rd. But in kind of like in my weirdo collection of Barbarians and Motu and Kamen Rider, whatever, I can sort of make the sci-fi look of a Megatron work, because it's not like, he doesn't look like a jet, right? Same goes for a Shockwave. A Soundwave is a little bit weird for me, but that said, they make the action. It looks like they've made the, what do they call them, action series or action whatever, of both Megatron and Shockwave. And so I'm like,
yeah, and they say they're 7 to 8 inches for those 2.
Yeah, so they would work well. It seems like they'd be standing right there. They're kind of going head to head with Yolo Park maybe, And then
and DLX
there
too.
is not this. Sorry. There's a Shockwave that was announced. I'm sorry, Soundwave that was announced pretty recently. And
he's out. You can actually order him now.
Oh, he's out. Look at that in hand. So I'm kind of tempted by this one too, especially all posed up like that. Like,
and he comes with all his cassettes or all his characters too. So they all come with that kit.
Did you find a price as you were looking at all? Did you any prices?
I did not, but it's right here.
No, I'm just curious. Sorry to put you to work.
No, you're good.
But it's cool. I'm just man, these are really, really cool. Look at that Rumble. So I'm intrigued by them. I love that they can pose. I'm also kind of a non-transforming Transformers. Like I'm not shy about that. I don't really care. But they got to look good and they got to be able to pose somewhat. And these do that. I love that he comes with a little
$39.99.
No shit. Really? $40?
$40. That's shipped. Yeah.
That's definitely cheaper than Yellow Park. Yellow Park also has like, little bits of die cast here and there.
Yeah, they have some die cast in them, but
look at that. That pose right there.
You know what I say? You get online when we're done here and you order him and give it a shot. Yeah, I'm an enabler.
No, yeah, I might do that here with Shockwave. It's definitely a little bit more stylized, but I'm into it. I'm liking what I see.
And Rob also added in the chat not only the price, but Soundwave has actual sound. He actually has sound.
Of course.
For $39.99.
And I know this very well, Heinrich, as a Lego person, that sense of accomplishment. And I built some Ultraman kits that I brought back from Japan, and it's definitely fun. And these are definitely like closer to a true model building experience than the YOLO Parks. The YOLO Parks are like ridiculous. It's like putting together a Build-A-Figure. I don't know why. Well, it's
interesting in Japan, building a Gundam in Japan is kind of like a rite of passage for a young person.
I can see that.
And so this just gives you that artistic, like, hey, I made this happen, even though someone printed it and put all the pieces in a thing, but I made this happen. It was fun. And it's almost like there's this connection built with that figure now.
100%. I made that. I remember putting that together. I remember what it looked like before then.
Rick Jones. I'm too lazy. He's like, I'm too lazy.
I got to speak with Rick at the Mythic meetup. He does not sound lazy at all, man.
No, not at all.
Look at that. Damn.
Yeah, they're just.
And these have light up eyes too. Is that what I'm assuming? That they all light up?
Yeah, probably? They light up also. Yeah. I think they do. You know what? That's funny you mentioned that because I thought I read an article. Let me look real quick.
I can look here too. Sorry, I should probably Optimus.
No, you're good. It's good. I think everyone's liking. We'll find out.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Yes, they do light up. It says.
Oh man, it's just crazy. Again, like what is available to us in this particular moment. It is really cool. There's all sorts of other things wild and not so fun about this particular moment in humanity, but there's also some really like great things. The pendulum swings. Okay, so Blokees, I'm appreciating. I said that I wanted to stay, away. Because I thought they were smaller, so I was like, oh, I can easily be like, those are awesome. Checking them out from afar, I'm good. And then this whole action option came out. But anyway, look at that. Dangerous. Oh man,
that's a sound.
Light up. Look at
it's a magnet says I am yours to command. Yeah. Look at the
I'm listening to it. You guys can't hear it.
Yeah, you only get demonetized.
I know it doesn't play through anyway. But that stuff is pretty cool. But let's a little bit. So in the realm of with Blokees originally, I was like, oh, those are too small, so don't worry about getting them. This is in the realm of it's too big, I'm not interested, but I appreciate it for what it is, the art of it, and that it exists. So this is Bone Shell Workshop. They're calling it the AI agent Femella. there's different versions of it. I remember sort of seeing this thing being prototype and early announcements where she actually had full on like skin or like a skin suit, I guess, because she's like an android. This is now the transparent version, and it's not even just like they're not like, oh, we're using the same figure with transparent parts. They're like, no, it's a fully different panels, and you can kind of see the under pieces, and it looks really cool. If this thing were to ever be made in 112, particularly more like 110, fit in with like legions and everything else I got, I'm all about
That's
it.
so cool.
But
How much? What size is that? I saw that online,
1/6.
but what size? Oh, it's a 1/6. Okay.
Yeah, it's a cool looking thing, you know, and there's a world where I would fit her in just as like some weird gigantic robotic thing, like a motherboard from Masterverse, but it's just cool. This is again, file it under, wow, I can't believe somebody made this and it's accessible. It's not tied to some legacy IP, you know, like people are willing to embrace new ideas and put them out there, and I really appreciate that. Look at that without the hair. So cool.
Little Ex Machina right there.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, I want to rewatch that this summer. Take a look at the hips, the little sort of like machinery underneath here. That is incredible. Yeah, great looking figure.
Yeah, I saw that. I actually was like, oh, I'm gonna wait for that pre-order, but I didn't read enough to realize it was 1/6, so that's kind of a bummer. But you know.
But she looks great, and there's some other shots in here. Look at the flexibility of the robot. She can do the splits. She can sit in a chair.
That's actually really cool, posed in the chair like that. That would be cool on the shelf.
It's very Tron legacy. So that's a cool thing. Oh, and I accidentally just closed another screen. I'll come back to it. But so back in a while back, shout out to Liquid Below Zero and the Highly Posable Cruise Discord. But a while back, there were these Dark Crown figures. I don't know if you're familiar with them at all. There's a little bit of a picture here, I think. Oh, no, it's not. Wait, let me get back to it. Where is it?
This is the one below, or no? No?
Yeah, I had the pictures ready to go. Here they are. So this is the translated version. And basically, long story short, they're just talking about there's delays. They're working on some production issues, but this is something that I pre-ordered back in May of last year, I want to say. So it's been a while, but you know, I'm not one that's like in a hurry, clearly, because I'm not tripping on my Savage Crucible. But you know, again, that alone, how long did that take? And it is what it is, especially if like at the end of the day, I'm getting this really cool thing. But you know, they're talking about it, so that's all cool, all well and good. I've talked about it before on the channel and shown those figures. If you're not familiar, I don't totally have them available to show you, but it's Burning Souls by Dark Crown Toys. So that's one thing. But more importantly, I think, is that they teased a new figure. And I know there are some people who are like, oh, don't show me a new figure unless you've given me the first figure. But no, I'm not in that. I'm just like, hey, like, let's see the art. So this is what they're calling the Shadow Collective, I think is what they're called. They're basically like, it sounds like ninjas that have a sort of crow conceit, I guess. Like that looks like a mask there on this sort of
that looks,
what will probably
that looks so cool. I mean, crow characters in general, the bird, the crow, I actually like the crows as a bird. So when you start implementing either out of the realm of Native American and a lot of the stuff that goes with that, or in this realm here, I mean, they just look really cool, and that is a super neat looking figure.
Yeah, and I'm gonna bring them up just so that folks, I'm a visual person.
It says he's 6 inches, 6-inch scale.
Yeah, and then they're a little larger than 6. You know, it's a catch-all of saying 112 these days, 6-inch. But these were the
more like a Legion size 6.
They're like in between a true 112 and Legions. They remind me of like Super Demons. Yeah, and they got magnet on the feet, and like you get 2 figures, and they kind of like have parts that swap out. not unlike the Gun Girl, Roman Key Gun Girl.
Are these on
so they have
5K or where do you get these? Or is it Kickstarter?
Yes, these were on 5K, but they're sold out. But you can probably find them elsewhere. It's been a while, but so there's the base figure. But so I'm showing this because if you're looking at that teaser, it looks like there's probably some similarities in build. Like it's probably just like a humanish looking figure with a mask attachment for the beak and the wings. So I'm looking forward to these guys whenever they come. I think that's got that, cyberpunk meets ninja kind of vibe going.
It reminds me of the video game Aminushu.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I think it's called
Arcade or
no, it was on PlayStation. Or maybe I'm saying it wrong. Let me see here. Google that one, make sure.
Oh, good. But it's just neat to sort of see. It says it's an exclusive character. It doesn't say exclusive to whom, to where, to what. But look out for that from the Dark Crown folks. I love this sort of teaser art, and you can kind of get a sense of them. I guess they're meant to be army builders.
Yeah, it's called Onimusha Warlords.
Oh, I've heard of this Onimusha. I've never played. I think didn't they have like a Netflix show too? I might be wrong on that, but yes, definitely that vibe. Yeah. Anyway, Burning Souls. Don't know if folks are there. I don't know. Is Rob? If Rob, you're here, I'm curious if this hit your radar, because he's very much like a ninja and tech kind of guy. Okay. Let's see. Some quick dios. You're a Star Wars guy. Later Star Wars, or yeah, exactly. That's what I thought too. I was like, oh, that's a cool looking film set, or like, oh no. And I mean, to be clear, this is Centerpoint Studios. They're like super premium, like super artistic with their builds. It's not that the other stuff isn't, but it's definitely like a notch above a lot of the things that are out there. I
have one question for you, Brick. Does Brian Lynn Carver Customs, did he give them authorization to have the lights?
To use the lights?
He controls the light.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. But I would say Centerpoint Studios owns light done with Star Wars stuff. No, I think that's hilarious. Trevor gives him shit for that. And I thought it was so funny. He doesn't own lights. I forget when that came up. I think it was I forget. Someone said like, oh yeah, I'm making this thing with light, but I asked Brian for anyway, whatever. Put that aside for a second. Centerpoint Studios, check this out. So this is from the prequels. You remember when they kind of go in the whole death sticks? Oh, I'm going to question my life choices. This is that club, the Outlander Club. And so this is his sort of second Star Wars prequel build. I'll show you the first one in a little bit, but here's like the behind the scenes, what's going on with this. So it's built in foam with some LED lights, and there's the LED light rig. But this stuff is cool, and it was actually on display at WonderCon, and I totally missed it, and I'm so bummed. This and his other one, but just you initially from your reaction when you said, "Wait, that's a dio," is I think that speaks volumes. Volumes, multiple.
It's pretty, very impressive.
And here's his other set. You know, when you're doing some investigation into a mysterious bounty hunter, and you got to go to old Dexter. I think I've shown bits of this in progress on a past show, but kind of cool to see. You gotta see Dex in there.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It's awesome. That is really cool.
Yeah, it's some next level stuff. Great work, and it just goes to your point of people just taking it to a whole other level with their art. So cool, and of course being inspired by other artists like George Lucas and everybody at ILM, but then of course Black Series and all that, and Kenner and Hasbro doing the toys. So it's just like the art begets art. People get creative, and I'm here for it. I have one last sort of thing on this before we get to the thing that I know the second thing in addition to Blokees that you're gonna school me in today. But I love this. I can't recommend this little Instagram account. That's what I'm trying to say. 60 Sec Docs, and it's literally just that little 1 minute little mini documentaries about something, about ephemera, if you will. Not all toy related or anything, but this one happens to be. And so it's about this artist, Pui Wan Lim, out of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, doing this as sort of her hobby and her art and her craft, doing 125 scale sort of recreations of things that she sees in her city. All and her, like, she kind of talks about it's a way to sort of preserve the culture. She's kind of in the documentary, she talks about how, like, she sees that, you know, eventually all of this stuff will be lost. The way of doing things, the way of living, you know, will be gone to time. And she's like, this is my way of, like, trying to preserve it all a little. But, you know, of course, from a toy person, I look at this stuff and I'm just like, wow, that's pretty fascinating. This 125 scale, super tiny.
It's mesmerizing. And just the amount of authenticity around the dirt, like on the floor, or just like the worn look, or the deco and the applications are, they blow my mind away. I've never seen this.
Yep. Oh, Rob got to see that last one. And I'm not sure which you're referring to, Ray, either this one or Centerpoint, but I would say it applies to both of them. Shit is cool as fuck. Evo Genius, what's going on, man? Good to see you here. I have an unbuilt one lying around. Suddenly the urge to build it is hitting. Maybe Blokees?
Blokees.
Back there. Yeah, and then creating miniatures, Mr. Ryan Clark says, with that level of detail is pretty amazing, right? And it's the same goes for Centerpoint, really, of the close observation. It's like, I'm trying to recreate this thing that I watched from this film that I enjoy, and really breaking it down and trying to figure out how do I translate that to the scale. Same with her. She goes out, she takes pictures, she's looking around. She's looking at everything, though. You can tell, right? She's like, oh, how does the wear on this tile look? What does the dirt look like here? Look at the food, the freaking little oranges.
The orange, the sushi. Jesus.
Woo.
It's amazing.
Yeah, 100%. And shout out to the artist. So, like, you know, like you and I do the toy thing, not that it's any lesser than what she's doing, but and then there's stuff like this where it really is meant to be sort of one-off art creation. So cool stuff. That's some classic ephemera there, some random stuff that isn't necessarily related to toys, but I can't talk to Blake without talking about these, because and I'm gonna hold strong on this, Blake. The Blokees, you got me there, where it's like I wasn't, you know, I was like, oh, I'm not interested in those, and then here we are talking about me looking at that shockwave. But these I will hold strong. This is Warhammer. Yeah, I will say that being born in '76, I'd seen Warhammer in different nerdy spaces, whether in comic book shops or game shops. Warhammer was everywhere, and so aesthetically, I was very familiar with it. Some of the story I'd kind of learned about. I was like, wow, that's wild. This whole other world and this other realm. But the scale and joytoy, it's something that I think I can resist. I will tell you because some of their characters are big. And I'm aware that some of them could work for me, and I thought about it, but I've so far resisted. What are we looking at here? This is some from your collection.
Yeah, these are the Custodies. These are a faction of the Custodies. There's so much to go over here, so I'm gonna keep it really general. Because I don't want to get too deep into, I don't even want to get really into too much of the lore, because like D&D, you can talk all day on just one area, right? Let's just put it this way. The Warhammer world started in Europe as like D&D started here. And it's a board game, and part of the thing is creating dios and painting miniatures and recreating your battles and the factions and the battle of good versus evil, which we hear a million times over in all the things we love. Warhammer does it much differently, though. And what I mean is, there isn't anybody that knows Warhammer that would sit there and say, it's very cool, but you would never want to live in this world. We never want to get to where Warhammer's at. It is a very dark, gritty, violent, survival world of some of the craziest factions that you never would even exist or believe that would exist. Joytoy got the license, I think it's 5-6 years now. I think it's coming on their 6th year now from Games Workshop. These are officially licensed figures. And I can tell you, looking over here, I have double door all the way around my living room, and they are full of joytoy. So if you think you're gonna jump in, jump in. It would be a very costly jump in to go buy backwards. Now they are re-releasing a lot of these older figures, which is really cool in case you wanted to get into them. But I always watched. I've always been huge in Warhammer and the art, just like looking at Franzetta or D&D, just the art, you know, was just like, whoa, and I love to draw. So I was always trying to recreate them. Oh yeah, there you go. So basically what it boils down to is you're dealing with a lore that dates back in creation to the 70s, you know, so you're talking about, I'm kind of scared with this line and why I'm scared is, we haven't even begun to touch the depth in figures that this line could go. And Joytoy is one of those companies that's like, hey, we're all in. And as long as Game Shops keeps approving these different factions, which I can't imagine from the business sense, Joytoy Warhammer has been ultra lucratively profitable for Joytoy. So I can't imagine it's same as Workshop getting these out there and so positive, so popular that it's created a resurge of Warhammer to where Henry Cavill, who is an ultimate fan and played his whole life, is now going to play Titus in the Amazon series, and he wants it to be perfect. He wants it to be dark and gritty. He's told Amazon numerous times, we do this, it's going to have to be ruthless. And once that hits...
True to the property, essentially, right? Yep. That's what I'm understanding, yeah.
So basically, it really boils down to a whole lot of investment for a really cool line of figures. And yeah, I can't get enough of them. It's just like taking these miniatures I've watched people paint that I've just been shocked and awed around and like, oh, I wish that was a little bit bigger. I wish the arms, you know, because like the miniatures are obviously, there's no articulation. Not to say that that's bad. It's just, I like articulated figures, at least some.
Yeah.
So to bring these to life in a scale that you can actually, you know, play with, pose, take pictures of, display them on your shelf in a faction was like, I remember when the Ultramarines, that was the first line that there was like a 5-pack of Ultramarines was the first one they went with. They sold out like right away on Big Bad Toy Store. I mean, these weren't cheap. These were $212 sets for 4 figures, you know?
Yeah, it's wild.
So yeah, so basically,
I have questions.
Ask away.
Okay, so first off, yeah, so you've got these are the ones that I've been showing so far are all yours. And so when you were saying it goes back to the 70s and it's existed throughout now and still exists, these characters and some of the stuff that they've dipped into, how are they approaching doing the line? Are they sort of doing early stuff, then bouncing more current stuff? How is Joytoy approaching it? I'm so curious.
So Joytoy started, I'm guessing, with the direction of Games Workshop to start with the 40K portion because that was the most well-known. People that play this game know 40K, whether it's video game 40K, whether it's tabletop 40K, there's 30K, there's the Horse Heresy Chronicles. There are so many different storylines in this, but they started with the 40K because I think they're like, hey, if this is going to take off and be profitable, if we're going to be able to make this line continue to go, we're going to have to start with the Ultramarines, and then we're going to start with the 40K version. And that's where it started.
Okay. And to give me, because you said it started in the 70s, when did 40K happen? Because I remember seeing Warhammer. I remember seeing 40K, but I'm trying to remember, was there stuff that was a little bit more medieval looking and less, that had orcs and stuff? Is that, like, where was that?
Yeah, there's been, so I think it was September of 1987.
Look at you. Love it.
Yeah. I think that's when 40K came around, but there was stuff going on before in 87. Okay. I mean, I graduated in 87, so it just tells you how long this has been around. If you get into, like, there's so many different offshoots. That's why at the beginning I cautioned about like not trying to confuse anybody, because most people are going to know the line from 40K or the Horse Heresy Chronicles. That's right about the two main ones. But I mean, I got figures on the way from the Stormbringer set, which is a whole nother storyline within the 40K. And they actually just started getting into that, which is interesting. If you go down, pan on down, and let's see. So I just ordered the Blood Angels Predator Annihilator. That tank is, I think it's like 2 feet by, or a foot and a half, almost 2 feet by.
Wow.
Yeah,
this
like
thing is a foot and a half long?
Yeah, it's like 17
wide?
or 18 inches or something like that by 10 or 11 inches wide. You can actually put like 5 Blood Angels in that vehicle.
Wow.
Now the Blood Angels.
And just I don't totally know what a Blood Angel is, so I'm assuming they're people. But dang, this is not. I knew they were not cheap, but I didn't realize they're making $200 vehicles. Whoa!
So this is a Blood Angel. This is the standard.
Got it.
This is a standard size Warhammer.
Okay.
And this video kind of washes out. There's a lot of weathering, but you can't. But this is a standard Warhammer size.
And that was the stuff I remember seeing as a kid. That with the wings on the chest. Okay.
And then you start getting into this stuff that's been coming out. And the paint deco is iridescent. Now he's very similar, but he's also a hierarchy leader in this faction. And then you get the Primarchs, which are and this Primarch happens to have the Primarchs of this basically have their twin brothers, and one was killed. This one was killed. He was poisoned.
Oh.
So technically, if you really wanted to do this correctly, they haven't made the brother yet, but the brother looks very much like this guy here.
And that's a larger figure.
Yeah,
so I want to know. So like compared to figures that are in my frame of reference, how does that guy compare to like a Legion's figure?
Here's a Legion's ogre scale.
Oh right, you have that Disabilis Rhino. Okay, yeah. So he's big. Got it.
Yeah, he's decent size.
He's probably about 6.5 inches.
He's 8 inches. He's 8.
Oh, he's bigger. Okay, cool.
Because you have these, and what's really neat is Joytoy's done a really good job with keeping the size ratio of their characters. I mean, Games Workshop's all over this. And if you know anything about Games Workshop, anything you buy from Games Workshop Warhammer is not cheap. It's kind of like Blizzard, right? If you know anything about Blizzard, anything that Blizzard makes from, let me think, World of Warcraft, no, is it? Yeah. And stuff like that. Any of those IPs that Blizzard makes, those aren't cheap either. They're very methodical, and anything you get from them is really quality. And Games Workshop wanted Joytoy to remain that. People joke around and say, I actually got a Warhammer figure because they think that's me.
Wow. Well, it's funny you say that, because I hear what you're saying. If I'm hearing you correctly, you're sort of saying like Games Workshop tends to be real judicious about like who makes their stuff and handles their IP. And I don't mean this is not a diss to McFarlane at all. I swear. I don't mean it this way. But so they went with McFarlane and they went with this. Like I'm just wondering from like a brand strategy perspective, are they reaching two completely different audiences? Like who ended up saying, I'm going to buy all these things? Are they Warhammer diehards who just already have the miniatures and bought into this? Are they reaching new people? And then I'm curious what the McFarlane is of it all. Are those like even more new people that are like, or are the same people buying both Joytoy and McFarlane? From it's all anecdotal. I know you don't see the numbers or anything, but I'm curious, what's your sense of that?
So I think I think that the Warhammer figures with McFarlane was a business move, and that's it. So where Joytoy is literally the arm of the artists and the quality from Games Workshop of what they want to continue, I think McFarlane has such a broad reach at a cost-effective price that they were able to give them, hey, here's a couple licenses or a couple figures for this. And if you look back at his figures, most of them came from the actual video game property first, because he usually gets video game, not the Games Workshop authentic, go back to the Horse Heresy and stuff like that. So So I'm sure, I mean, if I'm the owner of the IP and I want to get as many people out there to see stuff in a cost-effective way and get my characters and get that lore into people's hands.
Yep.
I'm going to get
I
to
hear you.
McFarlane.
Yep, I hear where you're going with that. Yeah, no,
Because-
100%.
Yeah, because I mean, the end result is what we all forget sometimes, and you'll see it in comments and chats, is like, oh, but they didn't do it. Well, you know, it's like, okay, but remember, all of this stuff costs a lot of money to make. And you've got to have certain people that have different business capabilities to bring these cost effectively that have been doing it around. McFarlane knows how to make toys. He's been doing it for a long time. His DC line is finally really starting to hit its stride, you know, and there's people that were like, oh, well, you know, like he's finally getting good and now he's lost the license. And it's like,
I hear you. And I don't want to come across as a McFarlane hater at all, because I'm not. I've got quite a few. And I would say that, like, even the folks who have been saying that, oh yeah, now that he's losing the license, they're getting good. I mean, I feel like that's sort of an I know you're not saying that, you're kind of repeating what you're hearing, but I feel like that's totally like out of context. Like, no, man, there've been a lot of really good ones, some even better than the ones that are coming out now. And so I love them. And here's TD3 Trooper saying, I love the McFarlane Warhammer 40K figures. And it's me too. Like, there's just those as sort of like a you know, just someone who's appreciated the Warhammer aesthetic and stuff I've seen over the years. I'm like, oh, that is cool. I want to grab that one figure, because that's for me. And that's kind of why I asked, because I know that there are people like me who are like, oh, that looks really cool. I kind of know about it, but not much at all. $25? Sure. $13 on clearance? Sure. Let me get two. Like, and that's what I ended up doing. So from a business perspective, I think it's great for spreading the brand. I think it's great. And you know, these are in mass retail stores. These are at your Targets and your Walmarts. So like all sorts of eyeballs. Most people that buy there have no idea that there's a thing called joytoy that exists. And then there's that high quality stuff. That, you know, I look at the quality of this joytoy stuff. And I gotta say, even though I know they're smaller, like the $26 price points, the $29, the $42, that's makes sense to me. Like, I'm not going like, wait, that's too expensive. I know sometimes people think size equals whatever, but no, the level of quality, the engineering on these things, from what I've seen, the paint, the sculpts, I totally get why they are what they are. Yes, let's look. Okay, yes, show us your stuff.
Actually, I'm going to change. I think I chose the wrong camera. Give me one second.
I don't want to see me. I want to see toys. Oh yeah, you're going to flip it. Oh yeah, much better.
All right,
whatever you did. Wow. The ones right there, again, forgive my ignorance, or I think, thank you for your patience, I should say. Those are all from the same era and same faction. Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah, so I have them set up. I have them all set up in factions.
Gotcha.
Like up here, I have, and I bought these little football helmet cases and started doing individual factions in those.
Wow. Who are those guys? Oh, those are the guys with like skin bits, right?
Yep, the Necros.
The Necros, yeah.
And then you got the Tyranids.
And while you're showing that, Thor, I love this. Thor and Acacia saying, thank you, Blake, for explaining this to Brick, because like so many collectors out here, don't get it. It's a business move, plain and simple. McFarlane has his followers and they will buy it 100%. And I can totally appreciate that. That's why I ask. I've just been curious, given because we're both Legions folks, and I know Thor's interested, or he buys into Legion stuff, if I'm remembering correctly. I've always wondered about that too, because there are some people who are like, what am I trying to say? There's some people who would balk at the price of Mythic Legions figures because they're used to other things, and then they eventually get them in hand, and then they start to understand where the quality is or whatever. But I've always wondered if there was a way for Mythic Legions to be seen in hand by more people, kind of like the way that McFarlane introduced folks to Warhammer. where that could go. But anyways, that's an aside. Some lore questions as you're showing stuff. Are there any comics for Warhammer?
Yeah, there's comics for Warhammer. I don't really currently carry them, but I know there's comics. I know there's all types of lore type stuff.
They're full of novels too, right?
Oh yeah. The storyline. Look at this.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, look at that walker, a big old cannon. So I'm curious. Well, I don't know. You're not shy about saying how much stuff. If you are, just tell me. But like, how much are those big walkers? Is that like that tank that you're showing me, like a $200?
Those are 110. Those are 110. But let me show you something. Let me show you something a little bit about why they're 110. Man.
The toy box is saying beautiful joytoy collection, brother.
So I'm gonna turn my camera back around. Give me 1 second.
Next to the Blokees.
Okay. So back to this where I have a HD camera. This guy is ridiculous. Fully articulated. The weathering is next level. Yeah. The top opens up and you actually have the actual, everything in there is painted.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the actual figure, the commander can stand in the top. The gun goes up and down, articulates, and you can stand him up or change around. And this, obviously, as soon as I saw this, being a Star Wars fan, you know what I thought of right away.
Yeah, for sure.
So the scout from the AT-AT.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is like a fantasy world come true for me. You know, when I was a kid, I loved setting up displays in my room, battles. Yeah. I'd have the Millennium Falcon over here on this hill, and I'd put a blanket down and make it look like he landed on some. And then I'd have Luke, and and then down here I'd have Tatooine over in the other corner of my bedroom, and the playset and Joytoy, and with the collaboration of Games Workshop, allowing them to take this license to the next level, has literally brought the Warhammer world to the point that, granted, they're in my showcases, and I don't play the same way I did when I was a kid this way. But I have set up for some of my photography scenery, that's why I say this, but Trevor just brings that portion of me.
Yeah.
His pictures brings that out, because it's like, oh, he's creating these scenery, like the end result of what I'd like to create. But at least I have the figures, and I set up a little bit of display in each one of my cases with Warhammer, or I do it with my Mythic Legions. It's just, to me, it's just another form of expression, an amazing, non-threatening form of expression. And it allows you to harness that kid vibe again, as well as, and the reason why this is really important, why I love getting on these YouTube streams and stuff, we've got to keep these next generations excited about this stuff. I don't want them to lose. I don't want this form of artistic expression and joy that has brought me all my life. I don't want it to be lost with this newer generation that may be more into like video games or just electronics. I want them to, it's good to get our kids into this so they can keep this art form going, because there's nothing much cooler than playing with your own mech.
Yeah, that thing is awesome. And honestly, my brain, if you're going to get me, it's on something like that. That, doesn't necessarily need to fit a figure for me.
It's got Searchlight. Searchlight works.
Wow.
And, one of the things with Warhammer I just love, being a U.S. Marine for so many years, especially this line, I came from a special ops unit. I did a lot of crazy cool stuff, in servicing this country. And for me, it's always been a skulls and snakes and warrior mode and, like
the Recon Rage logo.
Oh, and that's where it came from. When I was doing my WWE stuff and OBW and HVW out of Colorado, I literally designed my first role was being Rage. I was this uncontrollable beast. And I came out to the ring with a Grim Reaper gown, white contacts, and I was
Pro Wrestling Blake.
Yeah, they walked me out, this girl that I got from one of the local strip joints to walk me out. I paid her $50 and she'd walk me out in a chain and I'd be like, ugh. And then she would let me go, and that was my gimmick.
Amazing.
And then I was like, how do I want to make my gimmick when I interview for WWE? How do I want to make my gimmick more relatable. And hoorah, semper fi. How do I want to make it more relatable? So I kind of chose back to Spawn and all these other, and I wanted to make this character. So he became Recon Rage, Special Forces of the Marine Corps, my Rage character.
Yeah.
And so I've always been drawn to like the Spawns, the Warhammer, the really cool, gritty, cool, like, you know, things that you never want to see. The things I saw in the Marine Corps that never anybody wants to be around.
Sure.
But the end result is some of this is art form and some of it's a reminder of where we never want to go in a weird sort. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you kind of hinted around it with the sort of Warhammer world. And so, yeah, it's amazing stuff. And I would say that I'm still successfully like, oh, no, I think it's amazing. It's not because it's not good stuff. Like I see, even if I'm not super into the lore, like if I could do it all again and not have the money spent on some of the other things I have, this is definitely, this and Acid Rain are like things that I would totally explore. The Acid Rain stuff, I was so close a couple years back, but I successfully held off. But it's just, they're really great toys. And it's just like Mythic Legions, right? They're just, you can tell the people making these are, of course, they want these things that we can capture our imagination and have fun with and play, but they're also like, this is their art. This is them translating what's up in here into plastic form in a way that we can all kind of enjoy. So I love it, man. The Toy Box is saying in a grimdark future, there are only ring rat ballets. I'm assuming.
Well said.
Okay. Yeah. That's beyond me. Going back real quick, some folks are, oh no, I already know the answer to this, because this is one that I got multiples of from McFarlane, because I love them. They're fantastic figures. What were those white looking alien predator looking things?
Tyrannies.
Yeah, I think they're fantastic. What else is there anything else I wanted to ask you about Joytoy? As far as like you, because you know with Mythic Legions there's kind of like a pre-order cycle and then you wait. What's it like being a Joytoy collector? I'm curious. I've only seen it from afar. Do they drop things and in a couple weeks they show up, or what's that cycle like?
So Joytoy is my hat's off to him, very much like McFarlane. So a huge nod. And I'm a McFarlane fan, by the way. I was just pointing out a couple things about it.
Yeah.
Joytoy is very methodically on point with their stuff. So if they debut they usually debut a faction or a group in like 3 or 4 figures. And then if it's a one-time big drop, they obviously just focus on that, like the tank, the Annihilator. But they deliver on time. And that's something I give Joytoy, McFarlane. Like, you don't get these push dates or, oh, your problem stock happening. Or you get the other issue like with Hasbro. Once again, Hasbro makes some awesome figures. But their pre-order time frame can be like, oh, I pre-ordered and then it keep getting pushed. But here lately, a lot of their stuff, it's like, oh, we have figures that were in August for G.I. Joe that were supposed to come in August. They're shipped. I'm getting them this week. So
right.
Joytoy is very, very methodical, not only on the quality of their figures and what they put into it, but the whole process. Say, if we tell you it's going to ship in May, they ship in May.
If it's going to be consistent. They're consistent with that sort of practice. Yeah, it's really cool. I've always wondered, even at McFarlane, I assume it just means that they have a different lead time and they have different sort of schedule for when they announce things, you know, knowing that they'll be in a very comfortable place to be able to say it'll show up here. That's impressive. And how many figures come out in a year? Because it seems like there's a ton, but you were saying it's been going for 5 years. Like,
I would say, I was trying to average that. Somebody asked me on another show the other day. I would say, for example, at least 100, about 100 figures a year, minimum.
Really?
Because well, look right here. For example, just go down, keep going down, keep going down. Keep going down, keep going down. All these have been released this year.
I'm just trying not to get people, trying to get people sick, but yes.
Yeah. Well, see that group up there called Stormcast Eternals?
Yes.
The Black Talons. So that's another portion of the Horus Heresy / this is totally like fantasy. Man, when I see this line, I almost think about Joe G, because, you know, it's almost like a D&D kind of crossover into Warhammer. Super cool. And this is the Age of Sigmar. So this is Warhammer Age of Sigmar, way back when. So this is their first grouping. So there's 5 figures just in that one drop right there.
So is this the wave essentially, and then, or
Yep.
can you buy these? Or do you buy these individually?
I buy them usually in waves. So I go through. There's 2 major companies if you want to get them on time.
Got it. So this is if you bought them all together, but then you can also buy them as individuals.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can see
these
where they
guys.
do. Yeah. So this has all been dropped this year already, by the way.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The chaos guys are ridiculous. Let me see. I think I've got. Let's see if I got. There's just so much coolness going on here.
Hey, this guy's on sale for only $189.
Yeah, only.
But this is one of my favorites. This I can't really do a big zoom, but this
so that's Angron. Angron is the Primarch or the evil leader of the world, the world eaters or the Khorne. So I have them over here. He's not shipped yet. He was a $300 and some odd dollar figure, I believe.
Oh, so that is a huge. That's a good. Oh, this says it's on sale.
No, I'm
I
sorry.
don't know. Is it?
No, maybe it was like 200 or something. I can't remember. I'm pre-ordering and doing stuff through LT Cave and Cool Toys Club out of China.
Oh, it's fine. I'm like you. I spend it and I forget it, so it doesn't hurt as much.
So the Imperial. Okay, no, that can't be right. So that Imperial. So these prices. So that Imperial Knights. He's a $700 figure. He's literally He's literally 3 foot. He's almost 3 foot tall. And he's all die-cast frames. So the price is, I don't know if that's a pre-order you have to put down for $349, like half of it or something, but yeah, that's kind of interesting.
I don't know.
That's interesting. What site is that by any chance?
It's joytoy.com.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what was the articulation on something like that? You said 3 feet.
Oh, he's ridiculous. If you go pull up that Imperial Knight, I'm sure you can pull up. If you go to Instagram and pull up the JoyToy account, I think that would be the best way to do it. You can then see like they've got full videos. I mean, they've got a guy holding it. It's like holding a toddler in this picture. The Imperial Knights. They pretty much walk the battlefield like big mechs, just wiping out, blasting troops in front of their advancing fleet army on the ground. So
these are fantastic. This is
the new release ones. Yeah,
and these are just they're a little bit sluggy. They've got some basic articulation, but they're relatively cheap. And you get these little 3-packs. Who else is doing that? I think it's
there's the Imperial Knight. There's one.
This
so
one
you can
here?
see, look at the figure on there. I'll see if there's. That's the regular. Look how big he is.
What's the movement on something like this?
Fully articulated, lights up, the cannons spin, the guns. I mean, it's just ridiculous. There's a video. If you keep going down.
Keep going down. There's a video of it.
Should be keep going down because that's been on pre-order for a while. So they're just basically it's getting ready to ship. By the way, that's why you're starting to see. There we go. You're starting to see a resurface. So that box, I think this is the one where there's a picture on one of them where actually the person's holding it. Oh yeah, there's a figure. Look how little down there. There it is. Look at it.
You can put that on your shoulder and wear it.
Yeah, the weapon you can actually put in your hand. Yeah.
That is amazing. So I'm curious, something like this for the JoyToy collector, is this the equivalent of a Beathir or is this the equivalent of an ogre scale? You know what I mean? In terms of like
this is the equivalent of a Beathir, especially this one here.
Okay.
This is this is the largest and pretty much grail figure at this point, besides maybe some of the there has been conversation that JoyToy is entertaining a full 1/18 scale military warcraft flying troop transporter. They're thinking about doing that one. But yeah, look at that. And that's all die cast joints. The skeleton's all die cast.
That is great. So those parts
one's
about
a
like
piece.
the all that joint system or the hydraulic looking things, you're saying there's metal in there, die cast in there?
Yep, just turn it on with a magnet. Beep.
Stick it inside. I love it.
Yeah, poke him in his eyes.
Killer. Wow.
Now check this out. This is cool. It lights up inside, so it's all LED backlit. So you get that figure, you get the Imperial Knight and the actual, yeah.
When I look at this stuff, it reminds me of like the old like Chogokin or like the I forget what I'm blanking on what they were called back then, but like the giant robots, right? Your giant Grandizer, your giant all the other
Mazinger,
right?
all of them.
Yeah, Mazinger, like Mazinger or whatever. It's like that. Those things were not cheap toys. So when I look at that and this is sort of what, you know, it's like as a kid, I knew I wasn't going to be able to convince them to buy that for me. But it was like so cool that it was there. My brain thinks in that way. So like when I look at these, it's like, yeah, they're pricey things. They're not necessarily meant for kids. But it is incredible to me that there's an entire line like this that most people, including myself, know very little about. But I've known, like I've 100% known that it existed, that it's all quality. But this is my first time really talking to someone who's really in it and buying the stuff that is like, oh, okay, got it. There's different scale figures. And the question I just asked you is this, you know, to use the Mythic Legions analogy, is this a Baathi or an ogre scale? I appreciate that you could answer that. So that little, did you see the one towards the end? There's a smaller sort of, is that like an ogre scale kind of a thing for this line?
This is more like the closest thing to an ogre scale in between getting something like this was a Primarch. So
okay. Oh, okay.
The
gotcha.
Primarchs are the leaders of the factions. So this is about
sense.
that. Go up a little bit off this one and go back to Angron, the winged Primarch of the world leaders. And I think there's some good footage on him too.
Oh, I don't think he was up here anymore. Let's see. Yeah, we'll look at this one more and then we'll close out. But
that
man, this has been
great. Absolutely incredible too. You want to talk about it. That's why I want to showcase him really quick.
This guy looks cool too. This guy totally catches my eye as far as a design.
Oh, Magnus the Red. Yeah, he's phenomenal. Yeah. He's over in that case there. I mean, there is. I'm going to see if I can switch this around really quick and do one more.
Where's Angron? This one is another design that caught my eye. I love the fur, like Space Wolf.
But there's the Space Wolves. There's all the Space Wolves.
Oh, hold on. Let me show that. Ooh.
So there it is. And I'm going to, once again, give me 1 second. I pushed the wrong camera. Give you a better, there we go. That'll give a better, there we go.
Damn.
And then here's Magnus the Red.
Yes.
And his faction. Little Horus Heresy, Legion, Ultramarines. There's your video game, guys. So here is Titus, who will be played by
Henry.
Yeah, and all those helmets, all their helmets, their battle helmets and everything, they light up with LED. And then and then we come over here. And here's Corrin, the World Leaders, which is Angron. That's why I wanted you to pull him up. Well, first there's
I'm trying to find him, but I don't know what's up.
There's my Monster Force display.
They're great looking figures. And I actually totally see a through line too aesthetically to some of the Warhammer stuff.
Oh yeah, like
yep. I'm not having any luck finding Angron on their Instagram for some reason.
That's crazy.
Wait. Oh wait, I found him. No, I didn't. Man, it's cool. This is a whole other world, which I love, and I am still not going to dip my toes in per se, but I appreciate having the opportunity to learn about it, man, because I think they're fantastic stuff. And I'm just intrigued by, like you, the art form of it, the period that we're in, where we're getting all sorts of wonderful things, and now with the internet, like we get to see it all. Like I actually get to look at video and all this stuff, even stuff I can search out stuff that at one point was nearly impossible for me to look at, stuff from China, stuff from Hong Kong. And so we're living in a great time. And you know what, Blake, thank you so much for introducing me to that, and Blokees, and just hanging out. Because at the end of the day, I just appreciate the way you look at toys. Like, I think we are like-minded in that way, in terms of we appreciate this stuff. We love it. It's fun. It should be joyful. It should remind us of childhood, but it should, as you kind of started to hint at, it should also make us think about like our lives as adults when you're talking about the Warhammer stuff. And I'm into it, man, as good art does, right? Good art should make us think, should make us feel. And so I appreciate you, man. And so other folks here, I can tell are obviously Warhammer folks, and sharing some insight if I wanted to check stuff out, or if I forgot who else was asking if there's a comment. I think Ray want to check stuff out. Space Marine 2 is a great way to dive into the lore. Is that a book?
Space Marine 2. Well, there's a video game.
There's a game. Got it.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a big gamer myself, actually, but yeah.
There's a lore everything. So,
and other folks are sort of just commenting on. So, thank you everybody for hanging out today and commenting. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you, Blake. We got to get together more often, and I'm really looking forward to. We got to hang out for a little bit again recently at the Mythic meetup here on the West Coast, and you and I were talking about that, right? You were asking a lot of questions. You're like, hey, what's the deal? How does this work? Who's organizing it, etc. And I kind of shared while I was doing that, part of the reason that I was getting part of the reason that I wanted to be involved more so than just be an attendee like I was the last 2 years was I, like you, kind of wanted to understand how it all works, because I am interested in maybe doing another one here more close to me, like 2 hours south of where the Sacramento one was. And you and I were talking, because I know you had interests in seeing something closer to you. What can you share? What's the update? Yeah,
so I had I've chatted with you about it. I've been in the works for a long time in my head over the last several Legions cons that I've been to, just like how I want to become more of an active influencer and spread the word of this just phenomenal community wells of product lines. So I had a conversation week before last with Jeremy on the phone. We had a wonderful conversation about where I wanted to go with this, what he wanted to see in the aspect of representation. And we came to an agreement that I am the Pacific Northwest rep. So I will be doing the Mythic hangout, but it will probably go larger. I have a lot of things I've been working on for a while. So
I laughed at the hangout. Is that where you're landing? Because we had the Mythic meetup. Is that like a thing that you're working on, or?
I'm still working on some things because I have some irons in the fire. I just had to get the blessing from Jeremy and Four Horsemen before I, decided to really start telling people like, hey, this is okay. This is a go. This is where we need to be. So there's two options. I've got both in the works right now. What will probably happen is it's going to be a 1-2 punch in excitement. And what I want to do is we're going to do a Mythic meetup, very much like the West Coast. I've actually reached out to Iz and talked to him and said, hey, what's next year's Mythic meetup? Because I don't want to step on any toes, right? I want to make sure
date-wise, you mean?
Yeah, for the Mythic meetup for West Coast. Because I'll be there next year, right? I'll be showing up next year. But I want to have this because I understand that we all have a lot of different shows that we can go throughout the year. And I want to make this one successful enough that people will want to come out and check out this beautiful place out here.
Of course.
So we're probably shooting for June of 2026.
Okay.
The weather's absolutely beautiful here. Okay. And if you've ever been to the Pacific Northwest, for anybody on here, if you haven't, it's like living on the set of Lord of the Rings. It's absolutely stunning out here. And so I want people to be able to come out here and not only make it a trip for the Legions community, I want them to have fun and spend a couple days in the Pacific Northwest looking at snow-capped volcanoes and river valleys and going to the beach and looking at the Goonies rocks. And, you know, I want them to have a good time and realize if I'm flying to the very northwest corner of this beloved country, I want to like make it a trip. And so, you know, I'm looking at a pool party and barbecue for the Mythic meetup. And then
love this.
Potentially combining with a big show like the Washington State Toy Show, where Jeremy will then get involved to help facilitate this, and I'll be a street team representative. So
got it. Okay. So there's a larger show that you're looking to kind of do a smaller thing where Mythic fans come together, hang out, talk Mythics, and then we all kind of become part of this larger show where you're actually selling the stuff as a street
like
team.
You see in Toyland, cool. Right? Where you see everyone getting to Doug's house and having a big party and having a barbecue and stuff. And then the next day, guess where we're at? We're at the toy show, and Legion's got it. I'm out there working the booth with Legions, and maybe, you know, maybe Nate Barch comes up to that one too. He's in the area. Maybe I get, you know, Thomas Belay or David Williams to come up there and help run the booth up there, and we can have some fun, get you up there, Brick. And just kind of extend what we're doing, but just make it like maybe even a little bit more of a weekend event. So people that spend the airfare and the time to get up here feel like they get a little bit more out of spending that money.
That's great. So, and you've already worked it out with them. So it's figure it out, get the details, make it happen. Do you know when that show is? So get a sense of the one that you're trying to connect to.
There's one in June. But I'm not sure what their schedule looks like next year. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. There's still some fine tuning. It may not be the Washington State Toy Show. The date may change. It may be in, you know, it might have to go to July if I'm going to do the 1-2 punch with the Mythic meetup and then have the show the next day. And then again, it might be, I have another opportunity where it might be a Mythic meetup, kind of similar to the West Coast, where we have a venue that we go into. And then I bring some other people involved with it, but we still have a street team event where we have a table full of Mythic Legions that people can buy. And then we'll still have like a get together barbecue or where I live, there's a big clubhouse that has a pool and an outside barbecue, and I can reserve the whole grounds for it. We can all just come over there and have fun. And people can come over and show the collection, and we can get to know each other on a different level. That's great, man. That's exciting. And yes, June is great for me, depending on where in June, because the school year sort of ends. Technically, I think we ended like June 1st or something, or June 3rd. But I absolutely would love to support in any way that I can. I'm really happy that someone was picking up on some of the stuff that I was trying to like put out there in terms of like, hey, folks, fill this out, because it's part of a weird thing with the name of the West Coast Mythic meetup. People think like, wait, why is it just there for the West Coast? Like, it's a name. The idea is like, it can be up and down the West Coast, and it should be. It really should be. That's the thing. Four Horsemen stuff needs to be at more shows here on the West Coast, because we know it's hard for the studio, and this is how it works. And I'm really glad that Jeremy and everybody else on the team that sort of helps to figure this stuff out thinks that way. It's like, of course we would love to be on the West Coast. It's not easy for us. But let's embrace the street team idea, the hardcore fans who know and love this product and are already sort of, to borrow a term from the Macintosh world, the evangelists of the brand. Right. And so I think it's great, man. I'm really happy for you. If Rob is still here, because he was asking about Southern California. Here's another model, Rob. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who would love to help you, figure some stuff out in Southern California. But on that note, because we're always looking for people who do this kind of work, like you and I, we're looking for folks to help. And so here's TD3 Trooper. He's just south of you in Roseburg, Oregon. I would say, get in touch. You saw the page, and down over by Blake's left shoulder
is a QR code, and then there's URL right here. I haven't been good about dropping links in while we've been talking to the stuff, but if you go down there in about, I'd say 20 minutes after the show, I'll have those updated so you can go to his page and hit him up. Be like, hey, keep me posted on what's going to be happening. And if you know anybody else who's into toys in general, it's not just Legions, but just toys in general, Warhammer, whatever it is, the kind of event that he's looking to do is, of course, it's going to be centered around mythics, but you saw what we talked about. We're fans of a lot of different things, and we're real interested in building community. So tell them if you know folks who might be interested in supporting something like this in any way, shape, or form, it would be just helpful for them to be in touch, knowing about it, maybe even saying, hey, I want to volunteer or whatever it is. So is there anything that you can think of in particular that you're looking for folks to help out with? Or
yeah, so what I would like moving forward, we got plenty of time, but I believe there's no better time than the present to start planning, because I want to have a really fun, smooth event. I know there's always can't control everything. I will be working on t-shirts, pins, stickers, you name it. Joe, you better be coming out. That's all I'm going to tell you, because I need somebody to kick the tires and light the fires for the Pacific meetup. And then the other thing is, anybody on here or anybody that watches this video and replay, please Instagram me privately, like directly, and let me know if you're in the area. If you're in the Pacific Northwest specifically, and you'd like to be a part of this or help, or, so I know how many people in this area there really are. I'd like to get a good gauge of like, oh, okay, there's 20 or 30 people in this direct area that are cosmic or mythic or anything, or Legions fans. And that will help me be able to build a little bit more of like what area I would need, square footage. I just want to make sure there's plenty of room. And so anybody please spread this around, let people know there will be a Pac Northwest Mythic meetup. Could be larger, but the end result is that's the minimum, which is going to be awesome. It's going to be great. It's going to bring this wonderful community and these beautiful figures and to the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, man, that's great. That is great. I'm loving it, and I'm really excited for you, and I'm excited for the community, because I think for your local community, I'm excited for the Legions community, knowing that there's a potential of spreading it and bringing some of that stuff directly to the folks on the West Coast up there. That's great, man. So
I got one other thing I want to say that's really cool. There's a little bit of a thing that I'm going to put into this, a little bit of a workshop that we're going to do that I think is going to really appeal to everybody. You figure photographers out there, make sure you travel with a couple of your favorite figures, because if you want to talk about outdoor backdrops for photo photography, we got it. So I actually want to take everybody out in a group that's involved that wants to go, and we're going to go to take pictures with our figures in front of Mount Hood and Mount St. Helens and you name it, which is in my neighborhood. I have all these backdrops. So Thomas Belay and anybody out there that loves taking those outdoor figures and putting our characters in real time, backgrounds, we're going to have a little bit of a workshop where we can go do that too.
That's killer, man. I love it. I'm really happy for you. It sounds super exciting. So, and thank you for hanging out today, man, on this fine Sunday, talking toys.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blast.
Yeah, I know we'd be doing this like by chat or looking on Instagram, doing the same kind of thing anyway. Yeah. Hey, man, I really appreciate it. Folks, go follow the Recon Rage page. Be in touch about the show. Ask them all the questions you want. I know I probably didn't ask the best questions around joytoy or Blokees, so if you have your own questions, ask him. Replay, folks, leave some comments in the bottom. I am actually really curious how many people are getting into the Blokees or Blokee curious, and how many people here that watch the show or come across this are actually pretty knowledgeable when it comes to joytoy or Warhammer specifically. I'm always just kind of curious what people like, because I'm open to it all. I love this stuff, and so let me know. And real quick, because he came through, he just wants to say, "I see you, Joe." He comes through. He's trying to. Are you trying to find this guy again? Sorry, I think it's funny. Anyways. Appreciate everybody for watching. I hope everyone had a good Father's Day. Let's see. Next Sunday, our buddy who came in here really early on, Carlos, came through. It's still unclear if he's going to be able to come through, but Jorge specifically the From the Realm guys will be here. I want an update. I want to know what's going on with these toys, because there's been a lot of stuff they've been posting, and I've kind of shared some of it, but I want to hear it from them. I want to hear what the experience has been like, what they're thinking about, just everything, what they're learning. So they'll be here next Sunday. I didn't get to talk about it. I've honestly completely spaced, but that's okay. In about a week and a half, I'm having the folks from Grindhouse Toys on. They're doing a 3.75-inch O-ring line called World War Hell that just started last Friday. They're doing some amazing stuff. It's one of those things where it's not my scale. Truth be told, I'm not necessarily going to buy in just because of what I collect, but I am so behind what they're doing because of the way they're approaching it from the art perspective. They're working in kind of a B movie, home movie kind of VHS vibe. So look out for that. But other than that, just keep checking every Sunday. I am on summer break, so I probably will be on doing random lives at different times that you're not used to. So take a look at that. And is there anything that you want to let folks know? I know you've been hopping on. You were on Dorkler last week. Like, what are the recent things people should check you out in? And I'll make sure to update the links.
Well, I was on the 100th episode of the Legion's Lounge. Got a chance to get on there and hang with the peeps, and congrats to that whole crew out there, for that milestone. I've been on pretty much a lot of shows here lately.
Is there anything you're coming up soon that folks should know about?
Well, Offworld, I am part of the official team of Offworld. Been there for a couple months now.
That's Friday nights.
Yep. So definitely watch Offworld. Curtis would be telling you, don't watch Offworld. You shouldn't be watching Offworld. You should watch something else. But I'm telling you, Offworld is a fun time. If you really want to have a good time, go back and look at the last couple episodes and just see how much fun we have there at Offworld, and how many different avenues of different old, 1980s, 1990s toy ephemera that we go over and that we enjoy. It's just a good time with a whole bunch of great people, whether you're in the chat or on the screen. Offworld Friday nights. I love capping off my work week, knowing that I'm with that crew on Friday nights, just having fun, talking toys.
Yeah, it's a great show. It's off-world in the sense that, like, there are no limits. Anything can come up, which is really fun. And so
and it does. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it does. So you're also, that's kind of our way of warning you. Hey, thank you everybody in the chat. This is the part where I ended. I think I've told you all. Don't forget to do the like, the subscribing. Shout out to Thanos, who usually is here dropping links, but he wasn't here today because, dude, he started his new job, and I'm happy for him, and I hope he's enjoying it because, his jobs are important. All right, folks. I'm trying to figure out. I'm fumbling. I'm going to play some music now, Blake. So get your clubbing on, and here we go. Say goodbye to the folks. Because the auto's going to go. Bye. There you go. And I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go. Let's see. Thanks again. They can still hear us, so we say something clever, I think. I don't know, make noises, and then I hit it. There you go, see?
Thanks for clubbing.
No way.